on the second floor if you want to join us. Otherwise, you'll have to see this meeting on tape. For agenda, for quorum? What? Yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
You want to recognize the quorum?
yeah, recognize the quorum first.
Eric Gaspar, present.
Roy Bishop, present.
Ed Goodwin, present. Go ahead.
All right. Opening statement for public hearings. In the interest of saving time, the Sturbridge Conservation Commission will hold all public hearings tonight for work within a wetland, water body, or resource area and/or within the 200-foot buffer zone to a wetland, water body, or resource area in accordance with the Mass Wetland Protection Act, MGL Chapter 131, Section 40, and associated regulations in the Town of Sturbridge wetland bylaws and associated regulations. We will not be reading the newspaper ad. Prior to opening the first hearing for each project, the applicant is to submit proof of notification to abutters within 200 feet of the subject property line and proof of legal newspaper advertising. If these items are not submitted, the public hearing will not open. Additionally, prior to the start of each public hearing, we will announce the location of the project, the applicant, and the applicant's representative. If any of the visitors have not legibly signed in yet, please do so. Also, if any visitors are recording this meeting, please let us know. Thank you.
Thank you. Just before starting the public hearings, I'm going to try and keep this applicant, Becky, 1, 2, 3, and then the audience, and try and keep it as tight as we can because we've got an awful lot on the agenda, and any one of them could string us out by a lot of time. Okay?
Sounds good.
All right. Becky, do you want me to go right to the public hearing? It's not 6:15, so.
Well, we gotta wait till 6:05, but we can
6:05.
do,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, so just officially, so the December 8th meeting, we're gonna have concern with that. We're looking at rescheduling for December 5th. Just wanna make sure that's okay with everybody.
I don't know if we need to make a motion, but if that is the case, I'd like to make a motion to reschedule our regularly scheduled December 8th meeting to December 5th at 6 o'clock at the center office building.
I'll second that.
Fine. All in favor? We don't really need to.
Yeah, just for, we've
Yeah.
already posted it, just so it's on record.
So all continuations will go to the 5th.
Yep.
Okay.
Which is a Monday.
And that will be here in the center office building still.
I'm sure we have something else to talk about, but can we just, in the interest of recognizing David and his presence in the town of Sturbridge and on this committee for as long as it was,
Yeah.
I will miss him. I will be forever grateful for his generosity and his humor. I know that probably we were like Oscar and Madison. We were not. We were the odd couple. But I think the town of Sturbridge and this commission owe David and his family a great debt of gratitude. And I, for one, have been honored to know him. And I don't think we need to do this in official capacity, but if we can make the agenda, the walk-in period, the Barnacle walk-in period, because he always loved that walk-in period, I'd like to see that on the agenda. So,
Well,
thank you.
With David's humor, we should actually name something that he really didn't like after him rather than.
It's a good point. It's a good point.
I do think that we looked it up, and he was served on this commission for 26 years.
Did he really?
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's really strange for me, of the calls that I haven't had this week. The whole pattern of even coming in here is because I've been coming in here with him for 26 years. It's really sad.
Only 23 more years to go to catch him. Okay. I don't know if I can make it. But. So, sorry. I know.
Well, that was good. It was a good way of doing it. Ready?
Agree.
Yeah.
All right, we just have a minute before the public hearing starts, so we can quickly, number 15 on the agenda, because Scott Morrison is here. 8 Birch Street, it's a request for an extension for an orders of conditions, DEP file number 300-1055. This is a project that's been ongoing. Most of the work is completed. They still have to get a custom-made trailer for the remaining portion of the work, so they're asking for a 3-year extension so they can get that completed. I have no concerns with that and would recommend issuing a 3-year extension for them.
With regards to the request for the extension of the OOC for DEP file number 300-1055, I'd like to make a motion that we issue a 3-year extension of the permit.
I second that.
Second. Discussion? Is there anything open there, Becky, at the site? That could,
Currently? Like,
that could be washed out or,
no, everything was stabilized, which was done by the lake when I last went out there, so.
all right.
Yeah, the only trailer left is the one that's away from the lake. So it's across the driveway. So I think it's probably 75 to
Yep.
100 feet or more away from the lake is the only trailer left to go in there.
Right, and that's all currently lawn, so there's nothing open over there, so.
All in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Roy Bishop in favor.
Ed Goodwin in favor.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're next. 6:05 now.
605. 132 Lane 9, notice of intent. After the fact, erosion and sediment stabilization, DEP file number 300-1143.
Okay, just for the record, we do
Yeah.
have proof of a butter notification and legal ad to open the hearing.
So just for the record, Scott Morrison from Ecotech. If you recall, I know you got a busy schedule. We'll kind of go through this quickly. So there was kind of a pathway that went down to the lake that had been washed out, and I think every time it rained, kind of a bunch of water kind of ran down, washed out a bunch of sediments down into the lake. And if emergency certificate was issued, what they did is they went in, pulled that material back, kind of reshaped that grading, and then they put in steps and then backfilled with like 3-inch minus riprap. So that's all fully stable, kind of steps going all the way down to the lake. The upper part, where it's not quite so steep, is just the stones, but it's really, from the photos I've seen and based upon the client, after we've had some substantial rains after, it's really held up very well. So the notice of intent was required as part of the emergency cert. There's no additional work proposed or contemplated, so it's just a kind of procedurally go through. I guess the commission would issue a order of conditions, and then I think that would be immediately a certificate of compliance would be requested. So you can expect that shortly.
All right.
I don't really have anything else to add, right? It's been stabilized. There was a lot of sediment that had washed down into resource area, which was removed. It is within priority habitat that they did get approval from the Natural Heritage Program to do that project. It's not within estimated habitat. And right, there's no additional work that needs to be done. So right, my recommendation would be to close the public hearing, approve it, issue the orders of conditions, and right after they receive that, there'd be no special conditions that they would then file for a certificate of compliance and get that recorded too.
Motion to close.
Is there,
Need to hear from the
Do
public.
you- anyone in the audience? Sorry.
That being the case, motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Roy Bishop in favor.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we approve DEP file number 300-1143 for the project at 132 Lane 9.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Roy Bishop in favor.
Ed Goodwin in favor?
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Scott.
Becky, what do you got that you can fill in with?
We have 7 minutes. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 requests for certificate of compliance. We also have Joshua here for 110 Brookfield Road. Not sure that we can squeeze in that discussion before the next hearing, though, so it's up to the board.
Let's do 14.
Okay. Get to my notes. This is 289 Clark Road Extension, request for certificate of compliance, DEP file number 300-667. This is a notice of intent that was issued as a result of erosion issues at a property. It's a fairly older order of conditions from 2005. The plan included a drainage remedy to include soil stabilization plantings and drainage swales. What had happened is they filed an RDA. I think they were just outside jurisdiction to put a house in, and it sounds like they had some erosion issues, and then they had to file the notice of intent to fix that. So I went out, took a look at it. We asked for a letter of substantial compliance from an engineer, which we did receive. The drainage project was implemented properly. It's been completed for some time. And the backyard, is kind of to be lawn, kind of sloped in the back. A lot of that has grown in, all early successional vegetation back there. So it's very well vegetated. I was able to see where the drainage swales with the stone were on the property. So I don't see any concerns with that, and I'd recommend issuing the COC, a complete one. There was no perpetual conditions noted in the order that was issued.
All right. In favor?
I'd like to make a motion that we issue,
We can just,
just approve it. All right, Eric Gaspar in favor.
Roy Bishop.
I think you got to make a motion.
I'll take a motion.
Yeah.
it's not a,
Well, it's,
Even if it's not a hearing, it's still.
yeah, you still make a motion for those.
all right, go ahead, Eric, I'm sorry.
All right, that we.
Get it right this time, Eric.
Yeah, I did it right, I know, I'm constantly getting that stuff wrong. That we issue a certificate of compliance for DEP file number 300-667 for the project at 289 Clark Road Extension.
I second that.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Roy Bishop in favor.
Ed Goodwin in favor. You want to do 7 Cove Drive?
Yep. So this is number 16 on the agenda, 7 Cove Drive. Another request for a certificate of compliance, DEP file number 300-1074. This is a newer order that was issued in the past few years for a new single-family house on Cedar Lake. I've been out there a few different times doing site visits. Recently went back out there. We received a letter of substantial compliance and an as-built plan from the engineer. Project varied slightly from the approval. The actual house shifted and then it shifted to the south. It did not change the limit of work or any encroachment towards resource area. It was a shift to the south, and then where the house was, there was a little bit of a driveway expansion there. So we did talk about that out there. I did talk to the engineer about that. I don't see any concerns with that because it was within that footprint. I did ask them, they plant some additional plantings in that area. They did add some additional trees, which I think is a good substitute with that too. But like I said, they didn't change their limit of work at all there. So based off that, I would recommend issuance of the complete COC. It did have perpetual conditions noted in the order, and those were number 50 through 53.
All right.
All right, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the request for certificate of compliance for DEP file number 300-1074 for the project at 7 Cove Drive.
I second that.
Discussion? Oh, Becky, did the house shift or did they put it in the wrong spot?
Shifted.
The house
Well, I
actually
think
shifted?
they put it in the wrong spot.
Oh.
Same thing.
I just
right.
wanted to find out, I've never seen, while I've been
Are you
watching them
joking?
houses,
Yeah.
I've never seen one shift.
House location.
They put it in the wrong spot,
Yep.
right? Okay. All in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Roy Bishop in favor.
Ed Goodwin in favor. Okay. South Paradise Lane?
All right, so we got 1 South Paradise Lane. This was a request for certificate of compliance. DEP file number 300-239. So this is an older one from 1992. There was a recent property transaction here which triggered this. It was found on the deed. We recently reviewed a landscape project within the past few months at this property where they had to replace some landscape timbers in there. So I was out there. We couldn't locate our file here, but we did find in the,
From 92?
Yeah.
I'm shocked.
I know. We do have some old ones that we found, surprisingly, but we did
Especially
find,
in
Erin was able to find with the building department, they did have the actual plan. It was a house addition and a second driveway that was put in, which would have been the plan that would have been submitted to us at that time. So, based off that plan and having been out there and looked at the property, there's no concerns with it. The site is consistent with what was shown on that plan. So I'd recommend issuing a complete certificate of compliance. There was no special conditions noted in the order. We were able to see the order because we were able to print it off the deed, so could go through that.
All right, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the request for certificate of compliance for DEP file number 300-239 for the project at 1 South Paradise Lane.
I second that.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Roy Bishop in favor.
And Ed Goodwin in favor. You want to do 76 Stallion?
Yep, yeah, we have,
Bang them all out, we got a
yeah,
minute.
just get it done.
Oh.
So 76 Stallion Hill Road, this is another request for a certificate of compliance, DP file number 300-1116. So this was issued recently. It was for a septic replacement. So with that septic replacement, they're also removing a concrete pad from a carport that was out there. They also had, there was an old bridge over a stream, a deck that went over a stream, and, you know, some trash that had been left on the property near the stream. So that project's been completed, it's been stabilized. I went out there, all the dumped material and the bridge was removed and that deck was removed. So I have no concerns, recommend issuing a complete COC. The perpetual conditions were 47 through 50.
I'd like to make a motion that we issue a certificate of compliance for DEP file number 300-1116 for the project at 76 Stallion Hill Road.
I second that.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Roy Bishop in favor.
And Ed Goodwin in favor. All right. Back up to 615, Beck.
Yep.
All righty. 136 Lake Road and RDA, minor shoreline wall repair and tree removal. Owner applicant Bruce Cran, representative none. All right.
All right.
Just for the record, we do have proof of a butter notification in legal ad. So Bruce, if you want to just introduce yourself quickly and just give a quick description of overall of the project.
Okay.
Started.
On this project here, we had new wall put in, which was part of the original design.
Just for the record, if you could just give your name and address.
Yeah.
Bruce Grand, 136 Lake Road, here in town. So, but we had rework, we put up and replaced the old cottages and everything that were there with it and went. We had the 2 oak trees that were across the yard. The main one, if you're looking at the front of the house on the left, is still in good shape. We had Tom Chamberlain come out, take a look at everything that was there. There was a lot of washout that occurred this past year, and we're afraid that this thing's going to go over and it's going to strike the cottage or at least damage property. So Tom came out, went through all the checks, everything on it, agreed that it needs to be removed. We've established, I think there's pictures or diagrams to show on how we intend to shore everything up and get it done. We have got Brian Isol will be doing the work along the wall. We have a huge, big boulder that's always been in the main access going into the lake. But now everything around it is all washed out. I mean, that rock's not going anywhere, but we do want to re-prep it and have it taken care of to not be a safety hazard. And so Brian has given a drawing that will cover what they'll do. We want to do it during the drawdowns so that there's no impact on the lake or any other problems with it. So, and those drawings are, I think, in your packets, or
Yep.
that will show on that side of it. They'll use a similar type of material that were used for the wall that wrapped around to the both ends of our property. And it's reset. Yeah, we're just restacking in that area. So, but that's the main thing we're trying to, get done here. We did meet with Tom and we've laid out a plot plan for new plantings and trees and stuff that will be available there on the property to refill.
All right. Eric?
Becky, have anything?
Becky?
No, right, it's restacking the stones that are there and just kind of doing some work behind that for drainage. We do have the arborist report on the trees, and they do have a restoration plan with that.
Right.
So, I mean, I would recommend this is a request for determination. I think that since the shoreline wall work is very minor in nature and it's not gonna have an impact on resource area, can move forward with issuing a determination for them for this project. I'd recommend a negative number 3. Conditions, we just have some standard pre-work and sign-off conditions with the contractor. I'll work to follow the submitted and approved protocol. The replacement wall not to exceed the footprint of the existing wall. All activities to occur in low water conditions, which is
Right.
what they're proposing. No materials to be deposited within land underwater. Any fallen material to be removed. Some minor conditions through that. And then require the plantings as proposed. It also would be a positive 2B, we're not giving any resource area approval, and then a positive number 5 with the conditions noted earlier.
No questions for me.
I don't have any either. Any in the audience?
Like to make a motion to close the public hearing.
Second that?
Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor.
Roy Bishop in favor?
Ed Goodwin in favor?
With regards to the RDA at 136 Lake Road, make a motion that we issue a negative number 3 with the agent's noted conditions, a positive 2B with no resource area approval, and a positive number 5 with the same conditions noted above.
I second that?
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor.
Roy Bishop in favor?
Ed Goodwin in favor? Thank you.
All right, thank you.
We have a couple minutes to the next
Yeah.
hearing, so we can do administrative decisions, minutes from the October 6th meeting.
All right. We all here for the last meeting?
Yeah,
For the 10-6, yeah.
all 3 of us were here.
That's the first simple question, right?
Yeah, right, right.
Exactly. I'd like to make a motion that we approve the minutes from the October 6th meeting.
I second that?
All in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor.
Roy Bishop in favor?
Ed Goodwin in favor? All right. What you got, Beck?
Committee updates?
Committee updates. Well, let me think for a second, because CPC did meet. Give me a minute to reconnoiter on what was said, all right? Who's, anybody else? You got a lakes, you got an update?
Yeah, one of these days I'm gonna make it to one of those, but it's always on a Thursday. You guys meet on Thursdays, we meet on Thursdays. Makes it.
Well, I think they had a few new members were appointed. Lee Darren is Cedar Lake now, and there's a new person for Lead Mine, because the other woman moved, I believe.
Yes, yep.
Yeah.
So there's an update. We got a couple of new
Yeah.
members to select.
And I think,
Couple new members.
yeah, and I think a lot,
Meeting as of yet.
yeah, and I think, like we talked about before, a lot of the lake associations are looking at new orders and conditions for their lake treatments, because they're changing the treatment. So I know that Big Alum's working on that. Bruce has notified us of that. So those would be things that we should be looking to see early spring probably coming through, so, which is good. Those are older permits, so.
And CPC, we appointed Barbara Search to the new housing committee. I don't know if I have the right terminology, but
Housing Authority?
Housing Authority. And she's going to be our CPC member on the Housing Authority. And we went over a couple of different requests. In fact, Becky's letter, and the details of that, everybody wants a number next to things, and that was pretty.
Oh,
much-
yeah, I wasn't submitting that as an
I know you
actual
weren't.
request
I know
yet,
you weren't.
yeah.
But so, and that's pretty much it. It was a short meeting.
Do you know when the next meeting is gonna be, so that way we can, I mean, I can ask Penny, but,
Yeah, I do know. I think it's December 5th.
December 5th? Oh.
Just kidding.
Oh.
I don't, it's around that time. I'll let you know when it is.
Okay, just to make sure if we wanna get something to you guys, we can get that in time, so.
All right,
Yep.
anything else?
Open space?
What?
Open space?
Nothing from open space that I know
They
of.
did have a meeting.
They had a meeting, yeah, but Carol didn't mention it to me.
With regards to trails, is they're building new trails, are they naming trails? Or are there any trails that have yet to be named?
Well, when they do the Fisk Hill property here in the future, there'll be new trails there to be named.
Okay.
Yeah. So actually, after Dave's passing, I did reach out to Brandon and Ed and, you know,
Yeah.
thought it would be nice to do something for Dave on one of the properties. And I know that, you know, in lieu of flowers, they did ask people to make donations for trails, and they're thinking about that, so we can cooperatively work on something. Would be nice.
Anything you would suggest, give
Write
Brandon
something
or-
to,
Yeah.
Brenda?
Barry Barron
No,
Bush
but-
Trail or
I was
something
just
like
gonna say, it should have some kind of berry bush on it. It wouldn't be fitted.
Barnacle Berry Bearing
Oh, my
Bush
God.
Trail.
The, yeah, but on that note, also, donations are coming in for the Friends of Sturbridge from Trails.
Yeah, as well as Mr. Wilson. I read the obituary today when I was home.
Yeah.
and Same thing there, you know, he was an advocate for the trails, and they're doing the same thing.
Yeah, he was an advocate for the town. He really liked Sturbridge, so.
We're
Alright.
at 6:25, so,
So we'll go to Cedar Street.
yep, and we've got Scott Jordan on here. Oh, we got David Jen, David. Scott, do you want me to pull up that last plan that was submitted to go over?
Sure,
or-
that'd be great. That'd be great, Becky, thank you.
Okay, just give me 1 second. Do you want to read the?
Yeah. 231 and 233 Cedar Street, continued NOI, construction of a single-family home and associated site work, DEP file number 300-1139.
The colored plan.
Nobody else is here? Or Lenny is here.
I think Scott Jordan's,
He's coming
Yeah, he's on,
but
yeah.
I just didn't know if you had anything to say or add, you could sit right up here.
sorry about your members.
Appreciate it.
I don't know, it was just frozen, yeah.
What'd you say, Beck?
It was just freezing up here, so, all right, let me share my screen now. There. All right, well, that's going up. Just quickly, this is a continuation of this project. You know, the public hearing that we had, there were some comments, different things to look at that the commission was interested in. Just quickly, I think that they've worked to address those concerns. I'll let Scott Jordan kind of give a summary of what those changes were. I just got to pull this back up so you guys can see the whole thing. All right, with that, Scott, if you want to just kind of quickly go over some of the changes, that would be great.
Sure, thank you. Scott Jordan from Ecotech. I think I just saw David walk in, and I think Lenny Gelbert I saw walk in, the
Yes.
project engineer. So yeah, we opened the hearing on October 6th. The commission had a few minor concerns. We were able to address those. We did submit revised plans on October 17th. And the issues that we addressed were, there was some concern about installing silt fence along the driveway and along the eastern portion of the limit of work. So we have gone with just a 12-inch wattle throughout along the driveway and along the eastern limit of work. We're staying with a wattle and silt fence along the western limit of work, where most of the grading is for the septic system. We also are showing grade to drain arrows along the driveway to ensure that the paving contractor can grade appropriately so that we get our runoff pitch to our proposed basins. And we, as requested, we have included a note on the plan regarding the signage. We're proposing the signage every 50 feet along the limit of work lawn area. And that made it onto the plan. I think that was the consensus that we didn't need to show an icon every 50 feet on the plan, but a note would be appropriate. So those were the revisions that we prepared and submitted on the 17th.
All right, Becky?
Yeah, so I think that, going back to the original detailed agenda and what the comments were from the board, I think they've worked to address it. And they did include their narrative. They did ask for the waiver, which would be requested for the work within the 25-foot no disturb to put the driveway in. So at this point, I think if the board is satisfied, I'd recommend that you vote to close the hearing and you can approve the project. If so, the conditions I'd recommend, which would be our standard orders of conditions, I'd recommend that they submit a drainage structure O&M plan prior to the start of work, just so that way we can have that on record, and then the future property owners can know what drainage, maintenance work is necessary for those structures to keep them functioning correctly. I would recommend that the permanent demarcations are installed prior to the certificate of compliance as they've requested. And then also on the site, there was a couple of things that we noted out there. There's some debris that was dumped in the back from the previous property owner, lumber, et cetera. I'd recommend that we ask them to remove that. And then there are still a few of those old remnant drainage pipes out there. We did see one of them out there. We asked that they make sure we remove those. It was a comment Ed you had brought up. And then we have perpetual conditions for stormwater structures and signage. So that would be under the State Act, and then under the local bylaw, I'd recommend all the conditions I just noted. In addition, I'd recommend that we require the surety bond or deposit, as noted in my detailed agenda for the new construction, and that would be released upon the issuance of the certificate of compliance.
All right. Eric, any comments on the plan?
The only question I have is if we do close the public hearing and move forward with this, does this need to be in two separate motions, or can it be covered in one?
I think it should be in two approval motions,
Okay.
yes, yep.
All right,
Yep.
that's the only
I think-
question I
yeah.
have. Thank you for addressing our concerns.
Ron, do I have
Yep,
anything?
I'm good.
All right, I'm good.
Anybody in the public who'd like to comment on the notice of intent for 231 and 233 Cedar Street? Let me check go to. Anyone on go to?
Well, I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing.
I second that.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor.
Roy Bishop in favor.
Ed Goodwin in favor.
With regards to the project under DEP file number 300-1139 at 231 and 233 Cedar Street, I'd like to make a motion to approve the order of conditions pursuant to the Wetlands Protection Act with the special conditions noted by the agent.
Or 231,
231 and 233.
both in one?
Yes, you can do that as one, because the application is for the
Yeah.
two addresses. I'm not sure where it stands, but there's some merger that has to be done of the lots appropriately with the deed. They'll have to do that before they start work or anything, but.
I'll have to check with the assessors and the official address, but
yeah,
they have been combined officially
Okay.
and deeded correctly. And
Yeah, the last time I checked with the assessor, she wasn't sure based off the language, just for the purposes of today, I'd say 231 and 233, just to be sure it'll cover it. They will be, if they haven't officially or correctly been merged, they will be. They have to be before they can get approval to do a building or even a septic on it, so. But the motions for what Eric was talking about, the motions for the state act and the bylaw will be separate.
Okay.
That's what's separate.
Yep. All right,
I second that.
discussion? All in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor.
Roy Bishop in favor.
Ed Goodwin in favor.
With regards to DEP file number 300-1139 for 231 and 233 Cedar Street, I'd like to vote to approve and issue an order of conditions pursuant to the Sturbridge Wetland Bylaw with the conditions noted above for the Wetland Protection Act and the $5,000 security bond for the town of Sturbridge.
I second that.
Second? No discussion, all in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Roy Bishop in favor.
Ed Goodwin in favor.
Ellen, thank you.
Great.
Dave.
Thanks, Scott. Have a nice evening.
Thank you very much. Have a nice
You too.
Thank you.
See ya.
And again, sorry for the loss of your member, guys. Appreciate it tonight. Thank you. Leonard, I'll catch up with you.
All right, now,
We're at 6, perfect, right on time.
right on time.
Oh, we are gonna be, huh?
Lot 3, 20 Fisk Hill Road and 30 Main Street. Future road named Berry Farm, continued NOI, construction of 71 lot, manufactured housing, community, DEP file number 300-1132.
So we do have the applicant on go-to on here, Justin Stelmach's on.
Good evening.
So just quickly, I
And
think, oh, go ahead.
Sorry, Brian Madden's here as
Oh.
well.
Sorry, I didn't see you on there, Brian. You can go ahead.
Oh, no problem. Oh, no, it's just, we're requesting to withdraw this notice of intent without prejudice.
A little bit.
Yeah, okay, so yeah, we did receive, so for this application, we did receive the request to withdraw the application without prejudice. They did submit that. They did state with that they were planning on refiling, which they have at this point in time. So we do have another public hearing scheduled for that. At this time, since they did put the withdrawal through, I'd recommend closing the hearing based off their request.
Eric, any comment?
I guess the only comment that I would make, there was also a request to waive the town portion of the state.
Oh.
That's for the second.
Yeah, they did have it in their original email with their request to withdraw, but right, we'll have to talk about it in the next hearing.
that's
Yeah,
fine.
we can talk about it then.
Okay,
yeah.
all right. That's the only question I had. I'm okay with the withdrawal without prejudice.
Go ahead.
I second that.
Did you make a motion?
Oh, I'd like to make a motion that we allow for the withdrawal of DEP file number 300-1132 without
close it.
precedent.
First, we need to,
Oh,
is there anyone in the audience that would like to speak about the withdrawal of the application?
I suppose we need to close the
Yeah,
public
sorry.
hearing too.
I don't see anyone, so now you can.
All right,
close the
motion to
hearing.
close the public hearing.
I second that.
All in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor.
Roy Bishop in favor.
Ed Goodwin in favor.
Thank God for you two. You keep me in line.
I'm messing you up pretty good.
I'm just
aren't I?
trying to move things along, you know?
Okay,
We got
now
a big
you can-
agenda. Now,
you
with
can
regards to DEP file number 300-1132, I'd like to make a motion that we allow the applicant to withdraw their application without prejudice.
I second that.
Seeing no discussion, all in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Roy Bishop in favor.
Ed Goodwin in favor. All right.
Now we gotta wait.
Yeah, you gotta close the hearing.
No, they did.
Oh, we did.
You did first?
We closed it and then voted for it.
Oh,
We're
you just said
very
the
efficient,
withdrawal.
Becky.
You just said the withdrawal, okay.
Do the hearing first.
See, I get confused too.
Yeah.
right.
Eric's messing us all up tonight, isn't he, Becky?
Say the correspondence. Number 23.
Which one?
So where do we go here? We're at
Well, we've got
20 minutes over.
7 minutes. I don't know if it's enough to bring up any of our other items on here as old business. We do have number 20 and 21 on here. We have 413 Main Street, an update on that. We have 110 Brookfield Road update. We have both persons here, one in the room and one on go-to. I just think those are, I'm not
Oh,
sure
we
how
got
long
peop-
those discussions will be.
Why don't you
so
bring
let's-
one of them up then? Yeah. Yeah,
We gotta fit it in somewhere.
Yeah,
yeah.
okay.
Will we just go in order on the agenda on 20?
Sure, number 20, yep. Chris, are you on here still?
Yes,
Great.
yes, I am. I'm just
But they're-
I know you were early, so I was trying to get into the office here, but I am on my phone. I can't put the webcam.
Oh,
on.
no, that's fine. That's fine. So, I can just give a quick summary to start off with this. So this is, 413 Main Street. Let me just get to my notes. This is an existing parking lot, that some improvements were made in the past. They did get an order of conditions to do that work. They had a failure of the slope, which leads down to a river down there, and the parking lot actually failed, and fell down. So they needed to immediately go out and do some repairs out there. We went out there, I met Chris McClure out there to take a look at that. At that point in time, we really weren't sure what had happened and what was causing that. Was it runoff from the parking lot? There's actually a DOT drainage pipe underneath there. When I saw that, I was like, it was, bring me back to our other sites where we've had those issues. It doesn't appear that that's probably an active pipe. Chris has been looking into that, and I'll let him give a little summary. He did provide me some additional information today in writing about what they've been doing so far. It doesn't look like it was probably a failure related to the pipe. It might just be because of the directing of the stormwater in that area. It just took out, it's all filled material around that pipe. And it's all like there's fine sands in there, and it's all washed into resource areas down there. So he's been spending some time looking into that. They've been kind of monitoring that site after rain events. They haven't seen any further failure of the slope, which is good. We weren't really sure, is there something that might have to be made changes in the parking lot or not? So, what we're kind of looking at based off of what he's seen recently, it's probably just looking at, we need to, have the resource areas, have all the fill removed out of there at this point. So I'll let Chris kind of go into that, but, we need a plan of action and how we can get that accomplished. So, Chris, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, so basically there were a couple of drainage units
Turn
from
'em
Route
up,
20 heading over in towards the Cranberry Meadow, that resource area. This pipe that we're having the issue around doesn't appear to be associated with a mass DOT drainage. We tried to camera it. We tried to find the source or the origin from it. We didn't have any luck. But during the stormwater events, we're not seeing any stormwater come out of the pipe. Basically, what was happening, just as Becky described, the water coming off the parking lot was trickling through the fine sand that's on that embankment, and getting picked up along the bedding of that corrugated metal pipe, and basically it's discharging out the side of the embankment, and basically creating a sinkhole, and that sinkhole eventually reared its head. And there's some photos that we had sent along, and basically they were losing a section of the parking lot. So what we did do, because of the concern of the safety of people
Hey, Chris,
driving in there, we
Sorry, we're just having a hard time hearing you. We've turned our volume up on this side. Is there any way maybe you could just talk a little louder?
okay, sure,
Louder,
sure.
closer.
So
Or closer, yeah.
is that better?
No.
Yeah.
Hello?
No, I think it's his mic.
Yeah.
The rustling of the paper is louder. Go talk to next to where that paper is.
It's a phone. So what I think he's saying is kind of a summary of what I was saying too. It doesn't appear that that's an active pipe, and therefore that's probably not the source of what the concern is. I know they're working with Ecotech to develop a plan out there. It doesn't appear that there's probably any additional work that needs to be done to the parking lot. I think that we need to look to expedite removing that material. I could pull some pictures up if you want. I don't know that it's necessary at this time.
This is the second time this has happened.
On that parking lot?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So this is not new. This has happened before. I think we need to go in there and take some pictures of the ground and see where there are pipes. It's obviously a broken pipe in there somewhere that's truncated in some way, and
How you like that?
Hey!
Sorry about that.
Person, your phone's still on though.
It was in his pocket. That's what we were hearing.
Technology, right?
That's a great entrance though.
Thanks. So basically, if you see from the photos, the parking lot, we have removed the area within that sinkhole.
yeah.
Put a geo fabric in the hole itself. Brought some heavily compacted material in and compacted that all down. And then laid some riprap on top of it.
So I'll just go through, I can just
Sure.
go through the pictures that you sent over. So this is what happened.
Yep.
Oh, I can't just scroll.
Yeah.
Hold on.
There was an
Oh, there was an arrow?
Yeah.
Where was it?
Really fine, well-graded material. And we just basically rebuilt that slope back up and stabilized it, so we're not getting any more of the erosion effects of that stormwater, runoff. It's basically now it's coming down, and basically it's all filtered out, and it discharges to the left side of that drainage pipe right now.
But that's where, right, we were looking at it. The parking lot kind of, both sides of it go to that point. So the parking lot's discharging.
That was a historical drainage for that parking lot. When
Right.
we came back in 2017 to pave it, we talked about putting some stormwater structures in there. At the time, the commission was like, we prefer to just, we didn't want to direct source discharges, just try to maintain all the drainage to where it was going because it wasn't creating any issues. And eventually, this occurred, so.
Yeah. As I was saying while you were coming up the stairs, this is the second time this has happened.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
In that spot?
Yeah. This is not new,
Okay.
so I don't know what's happening in that lot, but my assumption is that there's a broken pipe or a truncated pipe or something that's raising its ugly head when,
Right.
every now and then. It's been a long time, but,
Yeah, I mean, there's at the bottom of this slope, and you can see where the sediment has discharged into that race. The good part about it, it's not silty, it's very clean, fine sand. It should be easy to pull out of there. But you can see where there was a head wall that had broken, decades ago.
Pictures of that, yeah.
But really, it's not associated with that pipe. Through all the rainstorm events, we haven't seen any water coming out of that aluminum corrugated pipe there.
yeah, I wasn't tying that blowout to some defined pipe
Oh, okay.
at that point in time.
Yeah,
But they didn't figure out what caused it.
right.
No, that's what I'm saying.
We know there was an old barn structure there years ago that burnt down in the 40s, whether that was part of the some drainage associated with that. We could only get our camera up that pipe 70 feet, and then it just got stuck, so we pulled that out. It didn't have very big wheels on it, so because of the corrugation, it was tough to get the
Oh, yeah, I bet.
camera up there, so.
All right. So you think this has done it?
Yes, yeah, we think it's done. We've been monitoring every rainfall event over half an inch. We're doing other stormwater monitoring, so we have someone swing through there and ensure that there's no issues.
What about cleanup?
Well, that's what we need to discuss, is what's the best way
Yeah.
to
Yes.
get this accomplished. It's a difficult area.
Right. So access is very difficult. It looks like there's potential. There's a big warehouse on the other side of that brace. I don't know what company it is. I don't know if we could. This slope is pretty steep. I guess if we were pulling 5-gallon buckets out of there, we could do it that way or set up some sort of a pulley system. I don't know how else to do it, or try to get access
From the other side.
from that other side.
Yeah, I think it might be a good idea to try to get access from
Sure.
the other side, you know, if it's something that's done during, you know, frozen conditions, and maybe going through, it looks like bordering vegetated wetland on that side to some degree. Maybe
Right.
there's some option to come up with a plan to come that way. I'm not sure, but right. I think that's the next step, is to figure that out, and, you know, how you want to see that in front of you. Do you want them to submit a notice of intent? You know, it seems like the sooner we can expedite removing the material, the better, I would think, but.
Yeah, it doesn't appear to be migrating. That area, there's not much, the velocity of the flow isn't that great, and this material, again, is pretty, it's a well-graded sand at this point in time, so it's just kind of there right now. It's just sitting there.
All right, Ken.
So what would be your recommendation, that from a timeline standpoint, that we have some sort of plan back in front of us? And a reasonable time frame, because if we're talking about frozen time, we have, and getting the work done, like legitimately, we probably need to have something in front of us on December 5th,
Yeah.
because otherwise, we don't have another one in December, do we?
No, beginning of January. I think it's gonna take a little time to figure it out. I think they're gonna have to work, I think we're working with Scott over there on this. There might be other things. I don't think this area is mapped as priority habitat. I know it was in the past. I don't think it currently is. They'll have to look into that. They'll have to look into what other permitting might be required, if there's any Army Corps permitting to remove this material, et cetera. So there's a few things that will need to occur on their end, but I think if they can come back, hopefully with a restoration plan for the next meeting, and, you know, we can figure out what the best avenue of permitting, you know, an enforcement order could allow them to immediately go in and remove that material, provided you have a restoration plan. That might not be a bad option, but I don't know if there's any other time constraints that they might be up against to get something done within a certain time frame. So I wouldn't want to say, yes, they have to get it out in the winter
Tuesday
versus
is the
spring
deadline, too.
for the meeting, so they're not gonna be able to file an application. So I think there's a few things that need to get looked into.
I think
Quickly,
we can
but-
provide something by the 6th, for December 6th, so that the commission can make a decision. Probably the quickest way forward would be simply just issue an enforcement order.
I agree. I wouldn't want you to, and we can discuss it at that meeting, I think. If, right, there was some timing restriction, say natural heritage wood turtle, and they don't want you in the actual resource area during that time. So I just want to make sure that we don't put any constraints at this point that we might not be aware of that could conflict. So, but I think, right, if you can come back for the December 5th meeting, have a plan of action, and you guys can then say yes, and if the easiest, best solution is to issue an enforcement order, so that way they can get in there and get that work done, that might be the best avenue.
All right, is that agreeable? Does that time frame work for the two of you?
We'll do our best to make it happen. I think we can probably provide something by that time.
Okay,
All right.
December 5th meeting.
that's all I had.
All right, I'm gonna go and catch my breath and.
Yeah.
All right. We're at
6:45.
We're at 5. So we're gonna go 645, Lot 3, 20 Fisk Hill Road, and 30 Main Street, Berry Farm Road. NOI, construction of a 71 manufactured housing community, DEV file number, and we don't have one, right?
I have one yet.
Correct,
File
yep,
number.
yep, DEP has not issued a new file number for this. Again, this is the, you know, the project that was previously in front of the board as a separate notice of intent. It's been withdrawn. They refiled that. We do have them here on GoToMeeting. I'll let them kind of quickly go over their presentation on this. You guys can go ahead if you'd like.
Thank you very much. So Brian Madden from LEC Environmental. So we refiled the notice of intent. Haven't yet heard back from DEP on a file number as was just discussed. I think really the purpose of this meeting was we're not going to give a presentation. It's essentially a continuation of the meetings we've had previously. I think we simply wanted to open this up to reinitiate the peer review with Oxbow Associates, and we can be ready to make a more formal presentation at the December 8th meeting. And by that time, we should have final stormwater peer review comments in hand by then. So I think that would be a good time to have a greater discussion, but really for tonight, I think we just want to open up for the peer review, and then we have asked for waiving the filing fees as requested. So generally would like to hear the commission's feedback on that front.
Justin, we're getting some feedback from you there. There we go, like drum roll. All right, so I'll just, yeah, Justin, do you mind just shutting your mic off for now? Because we're just getting some feedback from you. Thank you. Right, so we do have, DEP hasn't issued a file number of comments. They are aware that the project has been withdrawn, and there is a request to waive both the DEP filing fees and the local bylaw filing fees. Originally, when they requested, they asked you guys to consider waiving the DEP local portion of the fee. I did speak to DEP about that. That's not up to the board. That'll be up to DEP. So they've asked for, all the information to be submitted. They did submit the initial notice of intent and some supplemental materials afterwards. I would just make sure the project team has sent that to DEP. I'm sure they have, but just make sure you get that over to DEP so Judy can evaluate that with her decision-making process there. And then in addition to that, they did ask that the board waive the local filing fee. As the board knows, when this project was filed, our notice of intent filing fee for every notice of intent that came in, whether it was a large project or a small project, was $50. This fee hadn't been reevaluated for about 20 years, so we did we implemented a fee change earlier this year. This project would have a more significant fee today than it did at that time. So when they filed, they did file and pay $50 fee for that. The fee now would be $750. Had they paid a more significant fee, I would probably recommend waiving that, but since it was a very minimal fee and the amount of time that the project's been ongoing, it's up to the board, but I feel like that fee's probably been exhausted with the amount of work that's been put into this so far, so that's up to the board. I would just say too, since, this is ongoing, but it's a new application, if it's acceptable to the applicant, it is required by the board to put out for 3 proposals for peer review. We were using Oxbow Associates. If it's, like I said, if it's acceptable from the applicant, I'd ask them to waive the requirement to go out for 3 proposals and just ask for a new peer review request proposal from Oxbow Associates for this. And then just also, just procedurally, we are also doing a joint stormwater peer review with the planning board. It's been undertaken by the planning department for both planning and conservation, but just procedurally, I'd recommend you voting on continuing with that. That the applicant also, again, waive the requirement to go out for separate proposals for that.
All right.
Okay.
I'm okay with going with Oxbow or waiving the requirement for the 3. That's fine with me.
Okay, what about the filing fee on the board?
Well, before we address that, they had mentioned December 8th. Are they aware of the change to December 5th? And does that change their timeline?
No, so,
Who was caller 1? Who was talking, not Justin?
yeah,
Brian.
Justin and Brian, so, we actually, our next meeting is December 8th. As you know, we're down to a 3-member board. We were gonna have a conflict with the December 8th, so at the beginning of the meeting, we just did discuss changing that to December 5th, which is a Monday. That way we could continue with still having a meeting in December. So you're aware.
Yeah, that'll be fine.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep, and we're anticipating to have the stormwater peer review wrapped up by the end of the month, so that should be fine.
My only comment is that I don't have a problem waiving the fee. In my mind, it's the continuation of a project. I understand the reasons for the need for the previous application to be pulled and restarted. Some of that is procedural on our end, so I don't have a problem with waiving it myself.
I agree.
Well, I'll agree too. I disagree. I think we spent more money in gas than we.
I understand. I understand. I get that.
All right,
I
I'll
get
go
that.
with the,
But-
we're a three-man board. I'll go along with that.
We need an official motion for that. I would,
I'd like to make a motion that we agree to a waiver of the filing fee, the Sturbridge filing fee, not the DEP filing fee. And yeah, that's it. So
I second that.
Any discussion? Having none, all in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Roy Bishop in favor?
Ed Goodwin in favor.
I'm going to just recommend, also just making a motion to request a peer review proposal from Oxbow Associates, and then to continue with the joint peer review for stormwater with PAR.
Like to make a motion with regard to the property at 20 Fisk Hill and 30 Main Street, that we request a peer review from Oxbow, a peer review bid from Oxbow, and continue with the joint peer review with planning pursuant to previous conversations.
I second that.
Any discussion?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Roy Bishop in favor?
Ed Goodwin abstain.
That's 2-1. We're covered.
We're all set.
2-0.
Or 2-0 to 1. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, and then,
open it up.
yeah, open up, to
Comment?
yep.
Yeah.
Anyone here that would like to speak on this application for Lot 3, 20 Fisk Hill Road, 30 Main Street, future Berry Farm Road?
Or anyone on GoToMeeting, you can unmute yourself as well.
Nope.
Hearing none.
All right, we're all set on that.
Would you guys like a continuation to the December 5th meeting?
Please.
Said
Yes,
they would,
please.
yes.
Okay.
Motion to continue the public hearing to December 5th.
I second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Roy Bishop in favor?
Ed Goodwin in favor.
All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks so much, everyone.
You, yep.
All right, thank you.
Take care.
All right, now. Paradise Lane?
Yep.
Yep.
All right, 68 Paradise.
Scott, you're back.
6:55, 68 Paradise Lane, RDA, repair to shoreline steps.
Do you happen to have a photo of this? that
I
you
do,
can
yeah, I
show?
can pull up the,
Yeah, we have the
I
stairs.
think it was in the,
Perfect.
yeah.
So we filed a request for, just for the record, Scott Morrison from Ecotech, here with Jeff Buchanan, the property owner. So on the waterfront, it's kind of a concrete wall along the waterfront, and then there's some masonry and stone stairs that go into the lake. The bottom two stairs have essentially like broken free and just collapsed. So the plan would be to simply have a mason come back in, clean up the stairs, replace those stones, and then just make minor repairs. So it's very limited work. We filed a request for determination of applicability in hopes that as the water is being drawn down over the next month or so, they'd have a mason come in and just make those minor repairs, essentially replacing those stones, filling with mortar and really restoring them to the way they used to be. I'd be happy to answer questions. It's a relatively straightforward project.
Yeah, I agree. It is pretty straightforward. It is a very minor repair. If it occurs during lake drawdown, there's no impact to resource area. I would recommend moving forward with approval for it through determination. Negative number 3 with conditions, we do some standard pre-work and sign off with the contractor, make sure they understand. The bottom of the stairs, which have crumbled, shall not exceed the footprint of the existing stairs. All activities located in areas subject to high water conditions shall only occur during low water conditions. No materials to be deposited under land or water. All fallen materials to be removed at the end of the workday. A positive 2B, no resource area approval, and then a positive 5 with the conditions I noted. The one thing I would note about the project site, we did quickly stop out there. We were going to a nearby property. We weren't actually going to stop here, but we did go out there. I've been out to the property before, I think when the previous property owners had it. And I would just say that on both sides of the property, there are wetlands, which I know you're aware of. It looks like, I don't know if someone did some fall cleanup or summer cleanup, but some alteration, along the sides within the vegetated areas beyond the yard occurred. Some cleanup, either just trimming, back cutting things within the wetland and immediately near there. So just make sure that, not sure when it occurred, if it was prior to, property changing here, that just make sure that there's no landscaping that occurs outside the lawn areas, I guess, the lawn and the landscaped areas, just to avoid any alteration.
Is the applicant here?
Yes.
Yeah. So you realize where you cleaned those leaves out on both sides?
Yes, absolutely.
That's a violation of the Wetlands Protection Act.
Right, yeah, absolutely.
I'm not being,
I just bought it like 2 weeks ago, so,
Yeah.
So we're gonna be, I know there's a lot of wetlands and, we're gonna be asking for some stuff, but I'll come back.
Because that is an area where lake fills the lake.
Right, I have the house next door, so I'm.
Yeah, good,
I'm well
yeah,
aware.
yeah. All right, great.
Any other comments or
No comments?
anyone in the public who would like to comment?
All right.
Like to make a motion to close the public hearing?
Second that?
Discussion, none? All,
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Roy Bishop in favor?
Ed Goodwin in favor.
With regards to 68 Paradise Lane and the RDA request, I'd like to make a motion that we issue a negative number 3 with the agent's conditions listed in the agenda, a positive number 2B with no resource area approval, positive number 5 also with the conditions noted above, and include language in the letter with regards to vegetation management on the site.
I second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Roy Bishop in favor.
Ed Goodwin in favor.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, Dee, how you doing? Good.
Now we're at 698 Main Street, notice of intent, commercial building and associated parking and utilities, DEP file number 300-1144.
Oh, how you doing? Jeremy's guy. How you doing?
Just while they're kind of getting set up, just quickly, we do have proof of legal ad and the butter notifications for the public hearing. And then also we have John Shevlin on here. John Shevlin, this project is going in front of the planning board as well. So they have to do a traffic and stormwater peer review for them. So that's been initiated. As we move along here in their presentation, I will just
Yeah, go ahead.
ask that, as this is a commercial development and it's a land use, the high pollutant load, you would also be asking for a peer review of the stormwater. We just have that official vote afterwards. And John, after they give their presentation, John can go over his initial review of the project quickly for you.
Okay.
All right?
Becky,
Yep,
can you hear me okay?
yes, yep.
Oh, all right, thank you.
Okay. Good evening. Hopefully everybody can hear me. My name is David Feist. I'm the project civil engineer. With me today is Glenn Kravosky, the wetland scientist, as well as AJ Crane is a contractor, representing the applicant this evening, Interstate Towing. So I guess to start with, this project came about because they had another property on 150 Charlton Road they were interested in. And if you remember, as part of their riverfront analysis, they were asked to look at other properties to try to find a site that was outside the riverfront associated with the other project. So it became where this was on the other opposite end of town. This property is over by the boat ramp that goes to the Brimfield Reservoir. And this became available, and so he was able to purchase the property. And again, you know, to basically find another site that wasn't part in the riverfront area. This site, I think Glenn came before you with an ANRAD a few months back. And there was a border of vegetating wetlands and a small bank area here that was delineated, and I believe that was agreed upon. There's about 8 acres total on the property. You know, Route 20 is right here. The actual area for development is really just this area in the front portion of the site. It's a little bit, just about 1 to 2 acres worth of area that will be disturbed. So the proposed project is basically very similar to before. The 7,000 square foot interstate towing garage will be there. We have about a 30,000 square foot paved yard area. I've highlighted the 50-foot no structure zone. We've kept the building, sidewalks, and the paved area outside of the 50-foot no structure zone. There will be a little bit of grading I'll show on the grading plan that does extend into, towards the 25-foot no disturb. However, we don't have any impact in the 25-foot no disturb either. The property, we have located the driveway as far as we could away from the wetlands area as well as where the boat ramp access is. So basically trucks will enter, there'll be a sliding gate here, and then the paved area so they can access the, garage bays of the property and use the back of the yard for storage. And then customers can park in the front area here, have access to the building to, pay the fees and pick up their cars when needed. And layout-wise, it's pretty simple from a layout standpoint. If there's any questions, I'll move on to the grading and drainage. So the tricky part with this site, as all sites have their
Any
challenges.
questions from the audience as he's going along? All right, just,
So the tricky part in this site was from a drainage standpoint. Right now, there's an existing double graded catch basin in Route 20 right here. The site slopes up back away from the road, so all the current water comes down and drains towards this double catch basin. Site's currently wooded and undeveloped, so there's not a lot of runoff. So our challenge was to basically make sure we didn't increase any of the off-site flow with our design. In addition, it's also a LUPL, land use high potential pollutant load, so we also had to provide all the oil grit separation and treatment as well. So given that our discharge point was here, the double graded catch basin, this site's a little unique in the fact that the wetlands is uphill of our area. We're not actually draining towards it. So if you can picture, basically we have a 5% ramp up into the site to here, and then it ramps up another 10% to where the level yard area will be. The entire yard area is collected by a double deep sump catch basin with a hood here. We'll go to a water quality unit here, HydroWorks unit. And then for the 1-inch storm, we provide an oil grit separator as well for treatment of the 1-inch storm event, all in accordance with the LUPL standard. And then that discharge will be to a shallow basin in the front to help recharge the water, as well as make sure we don't increase our peak flows to the Route 20 area. And I believe in the 2-year storm and the 1-inch storm, we don't even see any flow coming over this area. We're able to infiltrate it on site. The second part of our system, we have an underground dry well system as well, because we didn't have enough volume because of the grade changes in the front. So we provided an underground 3-foot deep, the 4x4 concrete galleys, which will take, again, the larger storm events will have a place to recharge. Again, that will be, all the water from this will be routed through a water quality unit. So even though the standard, anything above a 1-inch storm normally would be treated here, we do have a little bit of treatment before it goes for the larger storm events. all the roof drains, that runoff will be piped directly to the front recharge basin. And again, no treatment, needed for that part of it. And again, based on our, if you read John Shevlin can comment after, but I believe we've met all of the stormwater management standards based on our peer review as well. There was a lot of sort of minor typos and some other information we have to provide. We're in the process of responding to his peer review letter and should have revised plans and that for submittal to the Planning Board and Conservation within the next week or so to address some of those comments. From a grading standpoint, the site's actually cut into the hill. We kept a 2-to-1 slope up towards the back where there's an existing stone wall on this side. There's an existing stone wall on this side as well. Here we'll actually have to have a retaining wall, large block retaining wall, in order to make the grade work, because again, the yard can't be any steeper than 5% from a grading standpoint. So it's actually cut into the hill here. But we've been able to keep the grading outside of the 25-foot no disturb zone. And I'd be happy to take any questions or comments from the board or the audience.
Becky, questions?
I don't have any questions at this time. Just to kind of quickly go over a couple other things too. They did include a fence around the perimeter back with the parking lot. That's something that we had asked for when they were looking at the other site to kind of, keep a visual barrier there between resource area and the use, because it is a 24-hour use for wildlife habitat through that area. I think that the biggest concern here is water quality. If it eventually does overflow, discharge, enters the DOT system, which does go towards the reservoir there. Anywhere where they show that they're meeting all the standards. I think it'd be important, I guess. Maybe, Dave, you can go over a little bit more, too, when you're talking about those storm events. Can you give us, examples of, when that's going to overflow and go into the DOT system? Like what size storm, how much rainfall?
I believe, I'm trying to think off the top of my head, but a 2-inch storm used to be 3.2 inches of rain. It was a 2-year design storm. I know so your 3 inches of rain, that's a pretty substantial storm. I believe that's maintained within our system. Once you get to the next level, a 10-year storm, which is more 4 to 5 inches, then you would see some overflow, the spillway here to the system, but again, it will not increase the off-site runoff in comparison with existing conditions.
And there will still be pre-treatment for
Correct.
that, yeah. And they do have, they are required to have an O&M plan in here. Maintenance is important. People don't maintain these, then there is concerns, but there is a pretty thorough O&M plan in there for that. So, like I said, we do have John Shevlin on here. He can go over some of his comments. Oh, yeah, no, I agree. You can move on there. But like Dave said, is that they've met everything, and it's mostly some minor things that were noted in there.
Any questions?
The only question I have is and this is just in general. There's a lot of times we're approving stuff with O&M plans. But how do we get verification that the O&M plan is being adhered to? It's especially something like this, where we are potentially threatening the wetland with pollutant. What type of remedy do we have to get reports on the maintenance that's being done on these systems as we approve them beyond tomorrow?
Yeah, we do have perpetual conditions in there, and one of them, and it's through even the town stormwater bylaws, that they're required to give us, send us copies of the O&M plan, their log sheets of that to show that they're doing that. That's something that we don't always get those from people, unfortunately. So it's really on the property owner to make sure that they're complying with that permit, whether it's through us. Planning board has the same conditions, is my understanding. They're supposed to be submitting those to us, and we usually ask for them on a yearly basis.
Okay, so maybe we should come up with a policy or a plan to make sure that those reports are coming back to us, so we have some way of tracking it. And I get it with a driveway, all the time around the lake. Well, we have a pervious driveway. But if you don't maintain it, right, and I know that's not pertaining to this, but if they're not maintaining it, it becomes impervious within a few years, right? So, I think it probably, and not that I need to put more work on you ladies, but I think we need to come up with a procedure to make sure that if we are putting those perpetual maintenance things in an O&M plan in, that we're actually monitoring them, especially for something with high pollutant, projects, so, I'm good.
Roy?
Just a question about the parking lot. What's the requirement to go right up to the hairy edge of the 50-foot zone? Is there a way of backing that away so that stay outside of that?
I mean, pretty much, basically, our client requires, as it is, he would have preferred a larger yard. However, the restrictions on the site, we've kept it within the regulations. And again, we end up with about 30,000 square feet of yard area, given what he also has, contracts with the state police and the town for towing damaged vehicles. So he really needed to find somewhere where he could maximize his property. So we tried to keep it meet the regulations, but not go beyond that.
Okay, thank you.
What type of depth are you excavating to on the upland side toward the wetland?
Approximately about, I believe, like 8 feet or so. There'll be a cut in the back. The site itself will end up with a net export of about 6,000 cubic yards of cut material will come off the site. And so it's about 8 feet in the back, and it meets grade. We've tried to balance it as much as we could, but again, the grades for the vehicle access are really what drive the design.
Now, back to Roy's question, is the banking in the 50 feet?
It's between the 25 and 50 feet,
The slope.
the slope.
Okay. Becky, could you, just sit back, have a cup of coffee, and come up with the O&M plans that we are receiving on an annual basis now?
I can tell you right now.
How many?
In our office, none.
Okay, that's what I figured that, I was gonna buy the coffee.
I was gonna say, I'll drop it off.
Thank you, through the chairman. We're doing a United Rental Fluid Solution. We've been with them since '02 with Baker Tank and then United. I'm sure the client will take, what we're doing there is once a year in January, we have to submit all our Vortec cleaning, Helgensen, sucking of the catch basins, cleaning of the basins, making sure they're mowed. So everything that's in our O&M, we have a standard boilerplate that my clients have to fill out and submit so that the commission does know we're doing all O&M. And it's it's a perpetuity condition, and I'd be more than happy to share that with the
Oh, yeah,
board.
we
Good.
have that
This isn't
too.
on you guys, this is on us. I was just
Well,
curious.
It's a promise they're making.
You're right, but we're not following up on it, so whose fault is that, right?
We're the Ukrainians, they're the Russian missiles.
Oh, jeez, there you go.
Just to say, we would take that, and even if it's in your
a
standard
good-
conditions,
that's a good-
we'll
yeah.
understand it. Thank you.
It is, it is on them, but right, the permit's are only as good as
All
you
right,
follow to make sure the stuff's.
We gotta move along. Since they're double booking here, you wanna get John on now?
Yep.
John, you're on.
Thank you. So good evening. Just for the record, my name is John Shevlin from Park Corporation. And yeah, as Becky mentioned, we were hired to do a review of the traffic and the stormwater design for the planning board and for the Conservation Commission. We submitted a review letter back on November 8th, just going over all the different facets of the project. So I'll focus more on the stormwater. David did a very good job as far as explaining what the components are of the drainage and how it's going to work. They had incorporated a lot of water quality systems in there between the hydrographs, the oil grit separator, the underground infiltration, the basins. Reviewing the analysis that they performed, there is the reduced peak runoff rate that occurs during all the significant storm events into Route 20. So they've gone ahead and they maintained that component. They did go through and address all the stormwater standards. I believe all the stormwater standards that that have been provided do meet. I had a couple items in regards to the operation maintenance plan that maybe should be included in there. That like I said, we gave these comments to David, and I know he's in the process of responding to them, and he may have response for some of them, but we just had some items just in there in regards to, is there any vehicle washing? If there is there any controls that occur? Solid waste management, I know they have a dumpster, just something in there in regards to like restrictions to road salt and sand on the site, how's that gonna be addressed? So I think that's in there. I didn't find anything in the submittal that addressed some of these, and, it could be in there, it could be not, but it could be part of David's response. But overall, I thought as far as the stormwater plan that they provided does meet the town standards and also with Mass DEP.
All right, thank you. So we have a continuation?
Well,
Right. I believe there are abutters.
Oh, good point.
Is there anyone in the
Any
public
butters that would like to
would
speak?
All right, thank
Good.
you. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I would just say before you go to continuation, I mean, that the engineering stormwater peer review was initiated under planning. I think you still need to procedurally just vote that we'll be doing the joint, you're asking for the joint peer review for stormwater for the
Yeah.
record.
You want us to vote
Yes, please.
approval of that?
Yes, please.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the joint peer review with planning for stormwater.
I have a second.
Second that.
Come on, you got a lot of seconds here,
Just keeping it going.
At least you're not going third. All in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Roy Bishop in favor?
Ed Goodwin in favor.
Thank you.
Now we can do a continuation.
I'd like to make a motion that we continue this public hearing until December.
Glenn, would you like a continuation?
We would ask for a continuation of the hearing. Thank you. Thank you.
This is
December
December 5th?
5th. Yes, sir.
December 5th.
That's a change from, we were on the 8th, that's the reason we're,
If it goes over 21 days, it is appropriate that the applicant ask for the continuance
Yeah.
from the date of opening.
Yeah.
That's how it works, so, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it'll be less than 21
Technically,
days.
it's under 21 days, but
We
we're
thank you.
still asking you.
We appreciate that you do.
okay, the 5th is good. Second?
I'll second it.
Eric Gaspar in favor.
Roy Bishop in favor.
Ed Goodwin in favor.
Great.
David.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, David.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on, John.
Thank you.
We are now, we're covered now, we gotta move fast. 136 Lake Road, notice of intent, permeable paver driveway, DEP file number 300-1146. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Dave. I have a board.
Well, I can pull it up.
Thank you if you could.
No
Appreciate it.
problem.
Thanks.
Glenn, I can shift that over if you want me to
That's-
show that detail.
Fine, thank you.
Did you already read the,
Project description.
project description? Yeah.
I thought I did, didn't, if I
Okay.
didn't, I can do it
wasn't paying
again.
attention, I'm just asking you.
Okay.
Just for the record, before he starts,
I
we
did.
do have receipt of legal advertisement and the butter notification for the hearing.
Thank you.
Okay.
Go ahead, Glenn.
Through the chairman. Thank you again. This would be on, of course, it's in Sturbridge. Big Island, I believe. Thank you. The clients are here. Thank you. Glenn Kowalski from EBT Environmental. The clients, the Litchfields, thank you. On this, we did on Exhibit 10A show you a photo of what's there now. It was described in Ms. Gendro's long agenda of what's out there.
I love it.
What?
Long agenda.
Well, long agenda. It describes what we have. It's crushed stone. We did, initially, we thought possibly as one on Paradise Lane we did a couple years ago, it was a determination, but now the commission, through Rebecca, does want to see perpetuity condition that the pervious paver is maintained, and so that was,
You knew I was going to ask for it.
I knew it, and so we had it right here, so we would take a condition that it is maintained. We did come up with, this company that builds different pervious pavers has good details. We did ask the client to ask their landscaper or their installer on which one he would prefer to use. There is the gap, it has to be maintained, it could get clogged, and we just did one in Woburn, same thing, and we would maintain this so that we continue to infiltrate as it is with the crushed stone within the driveway shown on Exhibit 10A. It is 54 point and change away from the lake. It has, it's scalable on this plan, and we did tape measure it also to make sure everything was accurate on the plan, which we didn't question, but sometimes things do get built a little bit different. I think there's a case on Leadmine where it was built a little bit different. Kelleher. But anyways, so we made sure that it was all correct, and it is. And that's the project. We wish to install this at, could I ask the clients through the chairman, when did you plan on installing, if you would?
Probably early spring now.
Thank you. We do have erosion controls that cut between the garage and the house, and also it's that green line that cuts from the house up towards the north. As you can see, the north arrow. Yes, thank you very much. So we're protecting the resource area. All material will be removed from site, deposited within a truck. We're not stockpiling anything. And then the installation of the pervious paver.
Okay.
Thank you.
So DEP did issue a file number. They didn't have any comments. I have no concerns with the projects. Since we have received everything to open the hearing, I'd recommend that you can close the hearing and vote to approve the project with an order of conditions pursuant to the Wetlands Protection Act. I'd add in there our standard conditions. Glenn already said it, but a condition stating that excavated materials are removed off-site, and then manufacturer specs for maintenance to be provided prior to start of work, and add a perpetual condition for the maintenance activities in the order. And then I would also recommend approval under the Sturbridge Wetland Bylaw with the same conditions.
All right. Eric, anything?
No, just, we need 2 motions for this one as well.
Yeah, but don't make a motion. We'll swing and get the audience, and then.
Yeah,
you make
no,
the-
that's fine, I was curious.
Yeah.
No comments.
No comments. Anybody in the audience like to speak? Hearing none. Eric,
Like to make a motion to close the public hearing.
I second that.
discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor.
Roy Bishop in favor.
Ed Goodwin in favor.
With regards to DEP file number 300-1146 at 136 Lake Road, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the project with the conditions laid out by the agent under the Wetland Protection Act.
I second that.
Second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor.
Roy Bishop in favor.
Ed Goodwin in favor.
With regards to DEP file number 300-1146 at 136 Lake Road, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the project with the staff's notes under the Sturbridge Wetland Bylaw.
And I'll second that.
Seeing no discussion, all in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor.
Roy Bishop in favor.
Ed Goodwin in favor. All right,
Thank you for your time.
thank you.
Thank you. We'll see you later on that Empire project. We'll be waiting for that.
Well, you know, you can have one, have 2 then. Have one before and one after.
Down at Empire.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, we are now at 50 Whittemore Road, notice of intent, landscape improvements, including a patio and fire pit file number 300, and we have a number 1147.
Lenny. Thanks, Len.
Hi Lenny, how you doing?
Good.
Good, that's good.
Why do you have such a short meeting?
That's what happens when you miss a meeting.
Yeah.
They stack up on you.
You put it up, Beck?
Yep, working on it. You can leave it that way, right? Should I turn it? I should turn it. Oh, nope, wrong way. Twice. All right, so I'm just gonna share this if we have anyone on here. Just for the record, we have receipt of legal ad and a butter notifications to open the public hearing.
We have them?
Yes.
Okay, all
Yeah.
right. Okay.
No DEP file, though?
Yes.
Oh, actually, yes, it did.
Yeah, no, I said it.
1147.
Yeah,
Oh.
we never got a email from them. We always get the emails with the file numbers, so I checked today. I don't know if you got one, Lenny, or not.
Forgot.
For the,
DEP file number.
yeah.
I got the file number,
Oh, yeah,
We got it too.
mainly because I called them.
right. So we never got the email, but they do have their NLY lookup online, so I did check it today, and it was issued. They had no comments for it.
All right, good.
All right?
So let's bring it up and have Lenny tell us what he's doing. There you go.
Okay, basically, this is after 46 Whittemore Road, and the house itself is already constructed, the driveway's constructed. In the backyard here, what they want to do is to put in a recreational play area over here, which would be a fire pit sitting area in here with a patio here, with a walkway going to the existing driveway, and then with the landscaping on this side, here, and then a retaining wall on the side over here next to the abutters, and then a soil erosion control barrier along this area here, which is basically where the tree cut is right now, so there's no trees that are going to be cut. This is going right along the existing cut. So nothing will be changed there, and then the grades on that area there will be all within this area here in the house, so there won't be any runoff from anything happening anyplace around it. It's a pretty simplistic project. It's a recreational area for the family itself. And they got the paver patio in here that's going in.
Okay, so Lenny did clarify, we did do a site visit out there. We weren't sure if all the work was within the existing yard. He did clarify that, so that's good. There's no further encroachment towards resource area. It's fairly sloped, so obviously there's some grading that needs to be done here. I do think it is fairly a minor project that would require some conditions because of the grading changes out there. Since we have the DEP file number, if the board's satisfied, I would recommend moving forward and voting to approve the project. I would recommend our standard conditions, any excess excavated materials to be removed off-site, if there's any of them. Just for Lenny to provide, since they have that drainage swale there, just a quick little narrative, what type of maintenance activities would be required for the property owners, and we can include that in as a perpetual condition to make sure they're doing that. And that would be it.
Good. Any comments?
No. I suppose the answer is going to be they're also supposed to be submitting to us perpetual conditions for swale maintenance on an annual basis, and we're probably not getting those either, right?
For minor things like this, we don't usually ask that they provide us,
Okay.
their logs that they're
Yeah.
doing it. But it is something, all the perpetual conditions, if there, was time for it, that we could be following up on.
Interesting.
Make sure they're doing
Okay.
it.
No other question.
I don't have any questions. I'm fine with it. Anybody in the audience like to speak to this? No? No?
Motion to close the public hearing.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor.
Roy Bishop in favor.
Ed Goodwin in favor.
With regards to DEP file number 300-1147 at 50 Whittemore Road, I'd like to make a motion to approve the project as laid out with the staff's conditions listed under the Wetland Protection Act.
I second that.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor.
Roy Bishop in favor.
Ed Goodwin in favor.
And then just do that again under the
Yep.
Sturbridge Wetland bylaw. I think I didn't say that, so.
Yeah, I'm now picking up on your notes, so.
Sorry.
With regards to DEP file number 300-1147 for the project at 50 Whittemore Road, I'd like to make a motion to approve the project with the staff's conditions and notes under the Sturbridge Wetland bylaw.
I'll second that.
Discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor.
Roy Bishop in favor.
Ed Goodwin in favor. Thank you, Lenny.
You still up?
Who's up again?
Yep.
He's up until 8:05.
Oh, just keeps banging them out, huh?
Yeah, they're,
All right, Lenny.
All right, you went for one.
I mean, Ed, you gotta give that disclaimer at the top of every meeting. We are only 5 minutes off schedule. And I know I just jinxed
That's a
it.
bad thing. Don't say that.
I'm just saying, keep that disclosure going, bud.
Come on, Lenny.
3 Beach Road, notice of intent, raising the existing house, addition of and associated site work, file number 300-1145, and Lenny Jalbert.
So just for the record, we have proof of legal advertisement and a butter notification.
And the DP file number too.
Yep.
Okay. Okay, what this actually is they're taking the existing house, which is basically outlined right in here, and raising the house roughly from the basement level up 3.5 feet for access into the cellar, and they're putting on a second story on the house itself. There is a shed which is located right here in this area here. They want to take that shed and locate it right here at this point in here. And then they want to take this area right here and make this a patio. And as far as the house, so they would be extended in this area right here, which is, right now is all concrete. It's a concrete slab in this area here. Nothing would be changed as far as drainage or anything. It would be outside of the 50-foot area here. And then what it does is by raising the house, it'll give us an easy access now from the parking on this side for the garage into the house, and an easy access for the house itself. The building plans and everything were enclosed in your packet. That is in the notice of intent. The excavation that is within the 50 feet itself, which is right in here, which is basically along the foundation, which is just jacking the house and then increasing the actual footings and foundations in that area. There's only two here. This here, right here, is actually an area sticking up on the second floor, and there's a column coming in here and here, which would have to be excavated down below for the raising of the building itself. And then there's stairs going in here down into the basement. That area there would be filled. So basically, that's it. The patio in here and everything's going to stay as is. The well is right here, which is located off the property. There's a 10-foot easement, which was done here for the well itself access, and there's an E1 pump here for town sewer. If there are any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
So I just want to make, so we do have, just online here, we do have the architect too.
He should be online.
Yeah, no, I see Bob on here. Bob, I didn't know, did you want to add anything to the presentation before we go to staff and the board, or?
Yeah, if I might, just, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, very good. First off, I do want to just extend my condolences to the committee for the loss of your committee member. And in light of that, we realized we might need to provide you some more information, primarily because of the replacement of the foundation. The existing foundation is a combination of concrete and stone. And the basement level is actually down about 3 steps from the grade in the back. Lenny had mentioned that there was a second floor, and I just wanted to clarify, it's not really a second floor. The project is to provide a new basement level, which would bring it out about, say, 6 inches above grade, so the water isn't actually going back into their basement, it's gonna drain away. And then they're just taking the existing first floor and raising it up. So technically, that is the first floor level. There is not a second level being added to the house. They're just using the same first level. That will bring the first floor level up closer to the grade of the driveway. At the moment, when a person arrives at this house, they arrive at the driveway and then they have to go down quite a few steps. And again, that was all concrete. We are actually improving that with this plan from the standpoint of providing more landscape, more greenscape for drainage purposes. And the addition that is being proposed is in between the 75 and the 100. Is that right? 75 or the 50? Between the 50 and the 100-foot buffer line. That's the addition towards the front of the house, which I'm referring to as the roadside. The construction, and we've had some discussion, is how is this going to get approached? The foundation system that is likely to be used is one that's going to be of essentially they're styrofoam blocks, to put it rather simply, and then they use reinforcing and place concrete in the middle of it. One of the reasons that I think this is appropriate for this project is that we are then minimizing the amount of trucks and that kind of activity because then we're just bringing the styrofoam blocks, stacking them, putting them to the height, cutting them to how they need to be. And then the concrete would then end up getting pumped versus, again, bringing a truck down deeper onto the site. However, there will be some vehicles that would be necessary for the raising of the house. But discussing with the general contractor, a lot of that is done by just setting a few piers, putting some beams on there, and then they hydraulically just jack up the house very cautiously, obviously, and slowly. So we're expecting that would have minimal interruption into your landscape or the grading. There is some excavation, obviously, that has to take place just to actually get rid of and take away the existing foundation. So, we're not saying that there isn't going to be. We wanted to provide you more detail on this. We thought because that construction is it's existing, so whatever is in the 25 and in the 50 buffer zone, we're replacing what is there. But we understand it's being disturbed, and we thought it'd be best that we provide you a little bit more detail in that in writing, so we have it as part of the agreement. We weren't prepared to provide that with you tonight. We did want to present to you essentially what the project was about, and we would be asking for a continuance unless you feel that the information provided is adequate tonight. but otherwise, we would be happy to provide you additional information.
Becky?
Okay. So like we said, DP has issued a file number for this. They didn't have any comments. We did do a site visit out there. I think kind of the biggest questions were around what's required for the excavation to get the foundation in. I'm curious about, how far out they need to dig from the existing house. So I think that information will be useful. There are some trees, a couple trees that are close to the house there. Question, like to know is if, those will need to come out when they do the excavation to put the new foundation in. So I think that would be useful. And a good construction sequence plan would also be useful to understand how it's going to be done. Kind of similar to some of the details that have already been provided. It does require work within the 25-foot no disturb. It is temporary in nature, but it does require a waiver to do that. Some of the things that we noticed on site, there is a lot of impervious surface. They are removing some of that. One of the concrete walkways on the side will come out, and that'll be a pervious paver walkway. And then on the other side of the house, they do have a drip strip proposed for roof runoff. I do think that anything that can be done on here to help kind of mitigate some of the stormwater runoff the site would be useful. We're capturing one side of the roof, but we do have a pretty large impervious parking lot area. Anything that can be done to make some improvements. If there are trees that need to come out, the commission typically looks for replacements for those, typically at a 2-to-1 to ensure that we do have some canopy there in the future. Does appear there could be some improvements on the site to help get the waiver for that work within the 25-foot.
Eric?
Yeah, I mean, similar to the comments that were just made by the agent, I'd be interested in how much disturbance is gonna be created close to the lake, so if we could get some more details on that. And while that's going on, is there gonna be any damage to and replacement necessary for the existing pervious patio that's down there? And although it's pervious, if there is going to be any damage to and creation of, can we remove some of that to improve the conditions?
It says I think it says, you can't read it there.
It says
I believe
existing.
it says but it says replace, doesn't it, on those small
Yeah.
words?
Yeah.
So they are
Yes, it
gonna be
does.
doing
Yep.
something, I believe.
Oh, and what I see, all I see is existing.
Remove and replace, I think, as
Replace is
needed.
what it says, as needed, so.
Oh, okay, it's not on my plan. So, okay, well, all right, so I'm just looking at the file that was online, so.
Okay, there's some letters over the patio. You can't really see them, though.
Okay,
Yeah.
regardless, it might stand to improve the overall performance of the site if we're gonna be needing to do something down in that area, that maybe we improve that area along with this, but to the engineer's point, there's a lot of additional backup information that we're gonna need just to kind of get an overall idea of really what is the scope of what's gonna happen within that 25-foot zone, so we can make a more well-rounded, well-educated decision. That's all I have.
Yeah, I would just like to see a sequence of the project and how you're going to do the excavation and then raise the house up. And if we can make, Becky, if we can make a recommendation of other improvements, it's sort of a laundry list
Okay.
on the site, as Eric talked about, to improve the performance of the site. I think that would be helpful.
Okay, I had a couple of questions. What we're doing is we're raising up the house and creating a sub-level, which we're not calling the first level, but it's a basement or a, I don't know, what do you want to call it?
It would be a walkout basement, but it'd be a habitable living space.
Yeah, okay, so that's how we're expanding it. Now, this right now does not have an under portion of it of habitat, right? You can't live under there. that
So
stairs
there is
in?
actually a part towards the lakeside that there is a portion of that, yes, you can.
What?
So it's currently the first floor. Bob can't see when you point at that,
I'm
but he
sorry,
can see
yeah.
on my screen here. So this section right here is just a porch with patio underneath it with the walkway.
Walk in.
I think what Ed's trying to ask is you're not putting
Are you going to use that for living space?
underneath it.
So the living space that currently exists on the first floor would be continued to be used, and we would be re-supporting that.
So there'd be no living
The-
space underneath that.
Okay.
No, that would remain
Would
open.
remain as is.
Let's make this clear, okay? The basement level will actually become living space.
Yeah, he said
Okay.
that.
Okay.
Just not the bump out.
The bump
No,
out
oh,
will
the
not-
bump out, no.
Okay, the other question I have is the stairs on the side here.
Are being removed.
They're gone,
They're gone?
right?
Okay.
They're being removed.
Yep.
That will
Sorry,
all
I'm
be-
not, you know.
Yeah. That will all be permeable on that side.
Yep.
You just, if you're gonna talk, just grab the mic and, just, for all of our fans in TV land, and announce yourself, please.
John Doyle. So on both sides, I believe it was drip, instead of the gutters, it will be drip on both sides, so it'll be, pervious on both sides. It's currently cement all the way down as you're facing the lake, all the way down the left-hand side is all cement, in front of the house is all cement. So that would all be removed and that would all be, pervious, so we'd be adding.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank you. The only other question, Lenny, tell me about the drainage features.
The drainage itself basically would be right around the building itself with the drip edge on both sides going into the ground in that area. It's all class 1 material, so it should be no problem.
Okay, but this is, then this is gonna change here.
That's changing, yes, that where you talk, okay, that right there would become a permeable walkway from the front of the garage, whoops, wait.
Yeah, this is currently a concrete walkway and they're proposing a permeable.
This here, basically from here all the way up through here was solid concrete. That's being removed, and then a permeable walkway would be put in from here all the way along the side with the drip edge with the house coming here and the drip edge over here for discharge of the runoff from the house itself.
And this will be additional house here?
That there would be adding, it's a shed basically right over here in the corner, which shows on this side. It's being removed from that, and that area is being replaced back over here.
Sorry, it's within the pink. It's within the pink where the shed would be.
The green is the existing.
Oh, okay.
The shed's gonna go underneath
The shed actually is,
Moving the
the
shed
shed
from
right
the
here.
side to the front.
There is the shed right there.
Yeah.
That's coming out, and it's going over here.
And so where you were just pointing right there, that will also be landscaping. So it'll
Yeah,
just be
it's gonna-
bushes and landscaping. There is a currently paved driveway up top and stuff. But that would be on both sides of, you can kind of see there'll be a little walkway to the front porch there. On either side would be plantings.
There's a planting strip here on this side and a planting strip on that side.
It's hard to see, it says LSA landscaped area
Yeah.
proposed, yeah.
It was all cement when we were out there, right? Yeah.
It's all concrete. It's from property line to property line is concrete.
All right, those answer my questions.
Any more questions from?
No, I have a question. So, this is being continued, or we're requesting for a continuance. My question would be, since your meeting is now December 5th, when would added information need to be submitted to you by to meet that date?
Yeah, so that's the Monday prior to that, we could accept it too. That way we can get our information out to the board before
So
the,
7 days before the
yeah,
meeting?
7 days before, so, yep.
All right. So Lenny, you'd like a continuation?
Yes, I'd like to request a continuance for the property to, I got here is, I put down December 8th, but it's actually, I'm going to change it to December 5th.
Yeah, we just
Yeah, we
changed-
changed it. You
So-
had it right.
see if there's anyone in the audience that would like.
Changed it.
From
The 8th to the 5th.
to the 5th, right,
Yeah.
that's right, I changed, I had
Yeah.
the 8th, I put the 5th.
Is there anyone else in the audience that would like to speak on this? Thank you.
All right.
All right. Motion?
Motion to continue the public hearing until December 5th.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Roy Bishop in favor?
Ed Goodwin in favor. Thank you, Lenny.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yep, you're still up. This is the next one.
Still up.
All right. We are now at 72 and 72A Paradise Lane, notice of intent, raise and rebuild of lakefront property, lot DEP file number 300, no file number yet.
Correct.
Okay, all right.
Yep, so for the record, we have receipt of legal advertisement and the butter notification, and then, correct, DEP has not issued a file number, and for that reason, I'd recommend doing a presentation, giving some comments to the project, and then continuing, since we don't have the file number.
All right.
Share my screen here.
Okay?
I'll just leave it up so you can have both the existing and proposed.
You all set?
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, what this is for 72 and 72A at Paradise Lane at Big Alum. It's for the raising of the existing structure and building a new structure within the 50-foot area and the rest of the lot. I have a letter that was dated November 16th requesting a waiver under Chapter 365-4.13C be granted for the construction of the home within the area, existing home. The existing house and deck right now is 829 square feet of coverage within a 50-foot buffer, and the proposed house has 525 square feet of coverage. A decrease in coverage will be 304 square feet. Mr. Chamberlain, a certified arborist, went to the site, reviewed the site, and came up with basically a full report for the site on the tree removal, which was enclosed part of the notice of intent, that this area here, there was a 25-foot strip in here, which there was a fence through here, which had this strip here, which Mr. Russo owns that piece right there, and these trees were evaluated along with the trees along the shore and that tree up above here. And then with that, a landscaping report was written for the trees, and the characteristic of characters of all the trees was done on what to do with this area here and over here. What it was basically is that this area here is staying as is. This tree here is going to has to be pruned. There's a maple right in here, this area here, that will be removed. And then the trees in this area here basically all the way will be removed because of one problem or another with the trees themselves. They're all in a diseased form. To take those out there and replant and revegetate the whole area. And then this tree up here would have to be pruned. And then this one over here would have to be pruned. So he does go back through and reevaluate the complete site for the property. The areas previously disturbed were improved, and the protection of the site will have added protection for the lake. A stormwater report was submitted within the notice of intent, and both the long-term and existing site conditions were presented. An operation and maintenance plan for redevelopment was also presented in the notice of intent. I had the dubious honor of presenting this notice of intent to the town for the first time in my career. It's 45 pages long. So it covers everything. We did the stormwater report, which under state regulations, which is not necessary in a single-family residential home. But to kind of clarify everything, to show you that the impacts that are being done with the house within the 50 feet and everything is not adversely affecting the property itself, and that's why we did it. The property itself, the house would be moved over here in this direction. You can see it's right here. There's the house right here. There's a porch area over here, but outside that, the house and everything is away from the lake area itself. So the drainage and everything going in on this thing, we've got Caltech chambers going in here, over here, covering with a trench drain in here. So we've got all the drainage done. We have a sewer E1 pump over here servicing the place for sewer, and we have a well which is located right out here for the site itself. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Okay.
Becky,
Yep, so, as I said, DEP hasn't issued a file number, so, we need to continue this to wait for a file number to take any action on that. This was a notice of intent that was filed, previously this year that, was denied with the plan that was submitted at that time. I won't go over all the aspects of the project, some of the things that are different from the last plan. It appears the house is in the same condition. He included the removal, of all the trees, which wasn't part of the initial application, and then the few trees in the front that need to come out for the reasons in the arborist report. Just so the commission's aware, we did receive an updated arborist report a couple days ago. It was past the new information materials that I'd be provided to you for the next meeting.
Oh, I was gonna say, I didn't see it.
Yeah, I actually didn't have a chance to look at it, so I think there's some additional information in there. We'll have that available for the next one for that. And then also, a few changes here. These parking areas are existing, currently gravel. One is over here that the neighbor's been using. They're showing to keep this now, and then this part of the driveway that goes into the house and the garage will be paved. And then they're gonna keep the gravel area over on this side too. It's a little bit of a change from the last plan there as well. They did ask for the waiver with this application. One thing we did note on here, actually Erin caught it, was that the existing well is shown on here to be removed, and there isn't a new well shown on here. So that's just one thing. I don't think we could find a well. The existing one was right over here. It said to be removed. So maybe
That's the old well.
Yep.
That's the old well, which is right down here, but then there's a new well right up here. See it right there? That's the new well that's right on the property.
Oh, it is existing?
It's
Oh,
existing.
okay, sorry about that. Okay, we weren't sure about that. So that was
Right.
one thing that does clarify that. just going through my notes here. Going back to the arborist report, the trees along the edge here, a lot of them, right, there are some dead trees in there. There's some declining ones, Woolly adelgid, a couple ash trees in there. There are some trees that were noted as alive in there. When they moved the house over there, they're proposing to take those out because they need to for the house as well. So they are proposing a revegetation plan. It does include some trees and shrubs. Within the regulations, it does state to look at where you can put those closest to resource areas. I think it would be beneficial to see, if there are some additional plantings that can occur closer to resource area that can help provide that canopy, as well as maybe looking at the opposite side over here, if there's any vegetation that can be put in there to help secure the waiver that would be needed for the house addition. One other thing I noted, it does state that an alternative analysis would need to be provided, demonstrating what you've looked at as options. I think it'd be useful to include that, to come back to the board with that. And that's all I have.
Okay. Eric?
Yeah, I'll be interested to take a look at the new arborist report, but on site, yeah, there's some trees that are declining or dead, admittedly, but there's not 23 dead or declining trees out there. So I don't know, well, for me, I don't believe that the replanting plan is sufficient for what is being done. So I would encourage you to look strenuously at that, at what we're doing there, because that's a lot of canopy. Those are a lot of trees that are coming out. And some of them are perfectly healthy. So I'd like to see something a little bit more robust. And when I see shrubs replacing fully grown trees that are going to create canopy, I get concerned about the overall health of the lake. So I'll be interested to read the arborist report and see some of the alternatives analysis and stuff like that Becky has talked about. But I would encourage you to maybe go back and revisit that.
What information would we expect to receive between now and December 5th that would allow us to grant a waiver?
You looking at me or them?
Either. What, I mean, what would we expect on December 5th that would say, yeah, let's go with that waiver? Is there any additional information?
I don't see any, do you, or?
I guess I would just say to relocate the house within your 50-foot, no new structures, they should demonstrate that there's no alternatives. What they've looked at, is there any possible other actions they could take or why that's not possible? I can't answer that question. I think that's something that they'll need to demonstrate with that. I know that earlier with the previous filing, they did have, another option. Maybe they could give you some details on why this is the best option, and how it will have the least impact on the resource area. But I do agree, I think that looking at some additional plantings to help support that waiver request would be beneficial because of, typically when trees are taken out, there's look for replacement already, and that is occurring. So wouldn't really see that as mitigation for the waiver. So if there's some more they can do there to help demonstrate that, I think that'd be useful.
Well, I'd like to add, as far as the house itself, here, according to the town zoning regulations, the house is conforming as far as coverage. It's under 15%. As far as the right here, from here to the road itself, we're staying at 26 feet. That was an agreement that was made with...
No, we're actually moving it. I'm Bob Mascaro, I own the place.
Yeah, go ahead.
We've moved the house back into that, it's not where I want it. We had to move it all the way over to the line on the western side, just inside the setback, because of the grades on site. The house that we originally planned here wasn't located all the way over on the western side, but we had to move it there to meet the grades because you wanted us to move out of the 25-foot buffer. The road, we've actually cut it back from 26 to 24 feet. We tried to cut it back to a 20-foot distance because I do need to put 2 cars in front of the garage for parking. However, our lot line, as you notice by there, is in the middle of Paradise Lane, so I couldn't move it any closer than the 24 feet to get the 20 feet in front of my garage and not have cars hanging into the road. As far as the vegetation goes on the left and the western side of the property, you want me to change some shrubs to trees, that's great. You want me to leave in all of the trees that I can, that I don't have to remove because I have to build a house over there and those trees are gonna be in the way of building the house. I'll leave as much of that as you want me to. I don't have any problem with that.
What's this here? I forgot. This porch? What?
They're pervious pavers.
It's just a patio.
It's just a patio?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have any further questions. So you'd like a continuation?
Well, if what I'm hearing from Mr. Bishop is if he doesn't see any significant changes to this, it's not going to get approved. Let's be upfront. There's not going to be a lot of significant changes. There's not a lot of left that I can do here. We've moved it all the way to the west, all the way as far north as we can. We've stayed under the percentage. We're giving a whole strip of land to be redone with great vegetation, with new trees and new bushes. I'm taking out all of the dead stuff. I'm taking a couple other trees that aren't that healthy, and I'm going to trim them and limb them and try to save them and do the best I can. That's about all we're going to get here. I'm already spending a boatload of money. I've already spent a boatload of money coming here on multiple occasions. I've spent a boatload more money getting an arborist out there, certified arborist, to do this plan. So we could cut to the chase if it's going to be one of those, I'm not going to approve this.
We don't make decisions without the process. If you want a continuation?
We can have a continuation, I just don't want to waste my time and come all the way out here again.
Yeah.
Well, I think we don't have a DEP file number, so a continuation is necessary. You can take an action without having their file number and comment
Well,
first.
right now, the continuation right now is a matter of fact because of the fact that we don't have a DEP file number. So I don't have to file for a continuation.
Right. So you're asking for a continuation?
I get a continuation anyway.
Okay, all right.
We want it to the December 5th.
December 5th?
December 8th, right?
No, the
No, they
5th.
moved it to the
5th now,
5th.
Yeah, right.
Sorry, you gotta change it in one more place on it.
Is it December 5th?
Have any comments?
Anybody in
was
the
the 8th, they
audience that
moved it
has
to
a
the
comment?
5th.
To the 5th,
Or on the
okay.
public line.
No.
Nope, all right. All right, continuation?
So, did you want to?
So moved. December 5th.
Well, we have,
Second.
because they don't have the DEP number.
Right, they can't vote.
Right.
Thank you.
See you in a few weeks, guys.
Is that it for you?
We are now where, Becky,
For you tonight, or you have
on
more?
Number 12.
I got 2 more.
Okay, I'll call you tomorrow.
16 Mountain Road, continuation, new notice of intent, raise and rebuild of a single-family home, Lake Run Home, DEP file number 300-1135.
Okay.
Lenny, may I speak to this?
You got that plan?
What?
Bob just asked if he could speak on it, I believe.
Do you have the plan available?
Well, I really don't think, we're gonna make it easy tonight for everybody. I know this was scheduled to be on, to have the continuation be for tonight, but in light of that you had to, move a lot of other, hearings and everything to tonight, we did not go to the extra efforts to provide you additional information. Essentially, we were just kind of giving a break to the committee, and it gives us a little bit more time to provide the additional information that we know you had requested at the last meeting. So we're just simply asking for a continuance, and that's really all that needs to be discussed tonight.
Fine.
December 5th, fine for you, Robert?
But yeah, I've got 2 of them to work on, so I hope so.
So moved.
Yep, thank you.
Second.
You're welcome.
All in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Roy Bishop in favor.
Ed Goodman in favor. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
So now we are at 13.
You're up. No, not you.
Oh, jeepers, you had me.
Lenny's still going.
You had me going.
The Reeds are up.
All right, and we have Marcy and
6 and
Stephen on here.
88 South Shore Drive.
Yep, got it.
All right, let's. Where?
When's the one up again?
Reason rebuild.
Slacking. One's for 1117, I like that.
Look at that. For the record, I want to know what's number 6.
The letter for the continuation,
What?
the letter for the continuation.
Oh, okay.
Do you want me to give a quick summary, Lenny, while you're getting your stuff together?
No, I got it, I'm all set to go.
We need a few more lines on this one, Lenny.
Okay, what this actually is now is that it's, before we had to raise and rebuild, what we're actually doing now is to put an extension on the existing structure that's there and bringing it over here, which is on a westerly side of the 50-foot line, so we will not be encroaching within the 50-foot setback, and the property itself will be off the 50, and it'll be right here, the way it's shown right now. What we're doing is we have a septic system, which was done and approved, not approved, but presented to the Board of Health. Percolation test was done on it. It won't be approved by the Board of Health until the Conservation Commission approves the site plan. He said he doesn't want to waste time looking at the system until it's approved by Conservation, but he didn't see any problem with the system itself. The system will be right here. There's a well that's going to be going up here on this side, which is away from the system itself. There's a well over here on this lot right here, and there's a well on the lot on the other side over here. So we had 3 lots, 3 wells within the 100 feet. The house itself, from the 50-foot mark forward, nothing would be placed within that 50 feet. The area in the front where the slope is in here, there's a existing walkway here with a dock. Nothing's being done there. That'll be left as is. There'll be a tracking pad which will come off of South Shore Drive in here, which is a stone tracking pad for construction. Once the tracking pad is, once the construction is completed, the tracking pad obviously would be removed and we're going back into a driveway itself. If there's any questions, the drainage on the property is handled in the thing, which is going right in with the Cultec chambers in here, and the will be contained within the site. The tent itself over here will be removed. There will be a couple trees will be removed in the front, one where the septic system is, and another one over here where the corner of the house is. Outside of that, the chambers themselves that are going in for the drainage of the house will not require any tree removal or anything, and it's all Class 1 material, which is no problem for discharge for drainage. Any questions? I'll be happy to answer them.
All right, want me to go?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. All right, so as Lenny said, they've revised this, so they're leaving the original structure and putting an addition on it. The addition will be outside the 50-foot. It's not necessarily clear on the plan, so I did ask for a narrative to.
Right there, is that within the 50?
That is the existing house.
That line right there is, with that, what, the house itself is within the 50. That's the house right there, and that's within, this section right in here is within the 50-foot range.
So the existing house is here.
Correct.
Note that's
No, the
addition.
existing house actually is right here, there, here, up, there, it's a rectangle. That's the
Right.
existing house.
And they're saying they're gonna leave that and put the addition on it. So,
Right.
like I was saying, it's not necessarily clear on here, it just shows the existing house.
Where's this is the 100?
That's the 100-foot, yes.
There?
Yeah.
From over here?
No, this is this 100-foot right in here is off of the lake
Of
itself.
the lake. Where's a 100
Right.
foot?
The 100-foot right there, this is a 100-foot riparian zone. There's a 200-foot riparian zone in here. And there's a 25-foot buffer zone off of the wetland in here. There's a 50-foot zone over here
Okay,
for
50 foot, all right.
And then there's a.
And there's 100 right here.
There's 100 there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different zones in here.
More lines than ever.
Makes your butt a more difficult property. It's like a Rubik's
See
Cube.
the tent there, then, the other 100-foot goes through there.
Right here.
Yeah, I see it, yeah.
Yeah.
Then he just said, print the 100 foot, and it just started going, huh?
No, you got, you know, the resource areas, where there's the wetland over here, there's the pond over here, and there's a brook over here, which kind of encompassed all zones.
So is the tent being taken out?
The tent is being removed, yes.
And what kind of driveway?
The driveway right now,
Yeah, so I did ask for clarification. So in the narrative that the applicant provided, it did clarify that the driveway will be a gravel surface afterwards, which it currently is. And that just wasn't shown on here before. So in that narrative too, she did explain that the existing house will remain, be renovated, and they will add this addition onto it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with that, some of the things that we talked about before, right, we've got the riverfront area in there. The board was okay with the addition being in that area based off the existing conditions there. So that impact to riverfront area was discussed already. So it doesn't seem there's any concerns with that. Just to kind of reiterate a little bit, there are 3 trees to come out. They are proposing 3 deciduous trees as noted on the plan. One thing I'd note that if an approval is given, I'd recommend that it's stated that the trees are native, and recommend that you put a size requirement on there as you usually do, just to make sure that you're getting something that you'd be looking for there, with the intent that it would be a species that'll have a canopy there. I would say that provided that the original house is not raised and rebuilt, then it appears that the project would meet standards. They've added some improvements in here. They've got the drainage. They are proposing that pervious paver patio up there. As we've said before, would recommend that there's some instructions given to make sure that they're doing the proper maintenance to make sure it doesn't become an impervious surface in the future. As discussed, we had talked about the septic. Board of Health did look at it. It hasn't been officially approved, but he did provide comment. And we did want to know that because actually the wetland across the street is a certified vernal pool, which is an outstanding water resource and gets extra protections. Mr. Jalbert did provide Board of Health with information about the hydrologic connections there. Board of Health felt confident that there would be no impact there. They are the authority on that, so there's no concerns there. That's been taken care of. So if the board's satisfied with what they've done so far, the conditions I'd recommend if you were to move forward, under the state act, I'd have our standard conditions. I'd say submit the maintenance requirements for the drainage structures in the patio prior to start of work. A tree protection plan during work, because currently the erosion controls go around all of the existing trees there. And that is something where we can look at kind of tightening up that liminal work line, so we don't have, they're gonna have equipment out there. We try to keep a root zone protection area. We don't want digging or driving over them. So we can work on that, but there should be a tree protection plan during work submitted prior to the start of work. Landscape plantings are installed with compliance with the approved plans. Like I said, I'd recommend that you have a size requirement. You usually do that, and that they're native. And that there'd be perpetual conditions for the stormwater structures. And then you can add a condition that this approval would be that the existing house is not removed. It does have somewhat of a foundation at this
Is the
time.
existing house, anything happening to the foundation, Lenny?
Is the what now?
The existing house?
Yeah.
Is it getting a real foundation, like the rest, I'm assuming the rest of the house? Or are they
No,
just
the
leaving
rest-
it as is?
No, that's gonna stay as is. The new foundation will actually be coming, the new foundation will be coming off of the house here, there, this way, around here to this point, and then back over here, right to the existing house. Okay, this would be new, okay? Actually, the house itself, according to Title V, is that where the leach field is and everything else in here, there cannot be habitable area within that cellar. It can only be crawl space. Okay, so.
So no new foundation under the existing
And
structure.
then this over here is where, this area here where the foundation is a two-stall garage, so there's nothing under that. Okay, and then this here is, that area there is gonna be a crawl space, no cellar in that either. Because what would happen, if they put the cellar in laying in this, the grades of this is actually lower than the septic system, and it would go and infiltrate it. Illegal, it's illegal, you can't do it.
Okay.
Okay?
Right, so then I'd also, if you're ready to move forward with it, under the local bylaw, I'd recommend the same conditions that I noted, but then as, this is a fairly large project with a lot of conditions on here, I'd recommend, as we have been doing, that there would be a surety bond or deposit to ensure that the project is completed. All the drainage things and restoration plantings that were required are done, and that would be released when the certificate of compliance is issued. So that way we can ensure we get the project completed too.
Eric?
Well, it's taken a while, but I think we're getting there, Lenny.
We're patient.
I appreciate the fact that the replacement trees are actually closer to the lake than any of the trees that are being removed. I'm just curious, there seems to be a couple of holes in there that maybe we could either add an additional tree or take the one that's up towards the road and bring it further down towards South Pond to create a little bit more canopy. But there is that hole right in between the trees where that one's coming out with that.
Where do you say, right there?
Yeah.
Here?
Well, yeah, further up. No. Well, I mean, there is a.
These two? Yeah.
You want give him the pointer, Ed.
There's two, the new trees that are going in, there's two new ones right
Yeah,
here.
no, I see it. I'm just saying,
There's two right in here,
Yeah,
and
no,
there's
and
one down here.
I'm just seeing, a nice little area there, a nice little area there. Maybe there's a place to move this.
What's happening, if you take a look at the canopy of these trees, they're easily 50, 60 feet high, these trees. So, if you take the root zone system of these trees in here, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, it's full.
Hey, listen, I'm just asking.
Okay,
I'm not, I love this, so
Okay.
thank you, right? Thank you. This is closer than this and this and this.
okay,
So if there was a place to functionally move this tree even closer and create some additional canopy.
Well,
But-
you're taking it away from a wetland when you move it.
Well, but there's more dense population of trees over here than there will be down here. So that, I get your point. We're robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Yeah.
But, no, I think I can move forward with this. So, no more questions.
No questions?
No. Lenny, this is the existing patio here? Or a new patio?
Let's see, let me, I don't know, is that existing? Yeah, it's existing presently, yes.
Right there, yeah, you can see kind of underneath there, the outline of the existing deck. Just follow my cursor, and then it kind of looks like it jogs down right there.
goes-
There's a deck there.
Right.
Yeah.
It actually goes from here right straight through. That is.
So
the
it's different
existing.
than it
Well,
is now?
we shifted it basically to the end of the house, that's all. From here, we shifted down to here.
This is,
A Caltech chamber system.
all right, I've got no more questions. I think I don't want to say I'm with Eric, but I'm close.
So we do have,
You don't share my enthusiasm, Ed?
we do have the applicants on GoToMeeting. I don't know if there's anything that they wanted to add or not on here.
They probably shouldn't.
I was just gonna
I would
say, I would
say-
just.
Okay. I don't know. I want to acknowledge their presence here, so.
We're all good.
We just want to say thank you.
Well, let's get a
We'll
motion.
take a vote first.
Let's take a vote.
Anyone else in the public that would like to speak on this before we close? No.
All right, I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing.
I second that.
All in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Roy Bishop in favor?
Ed Goodwin in favor.
With regards to 86 and 88 South Shore Drive, DEP file number 300-1127, I would like to make a motion that we approve the project with all of the appropriate agents' notes under the Wetland Protection Act.
And I'll second that.
Any further discussion?
Nope.
No. All in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Roy Bishop in favor?
Ed Goodwin in favor.
Under DEP file number, where are we? 300-1127 at 86 and
No,
88 South
11,
Shore.
1134.
1134,
Oh,
I got
yeah, this
11.
is where it was on there wrong. Sorry.
Oh, sorry, I made an amendment.
So I amend my previous, do we need to re-vote on that?
I think that's.
11:30.
You said the address, right?
Yeah, I did. At 86 and 88 in South Shore Drive, DEP file number 300-1134. I would like to make a motion that we approve the project with the agent's notes for the Wetland Protection Act and also the surety bond for the town of Sturbridge under the Sturbridge Wetland Bylaw.
I second that.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Eric Gaspar in favor?
Roy Bishop in favor?
Ed Goodwin in favor.
Now you can say thank you. But thank you. Thank you for your patience, and thank you for the changes.
You have good patience, you're smart. Got-
All right, Lenny, you're not bad. Yeah, I think you were 4 for 5.
What?
Lenny was 4 for 5 tonight.
Yeah.
What, 4 continued out of, no, 2
Lenny.
out of 5.
You got, 2 out of 5, yeah.
Minutes are done.
Yeah.
Down to 21.
Yeah, we've done all those other ones.
Okay. 110 Brookfield Road, update.
Yeah, so just, quick summary, we do have the property owner here.
All right.
This is something that I had informed you about at a previous meeting. There was some work that occurred out at the property. We had gone out and took a look at that, requested that a notice of intent be submitted for the alterations out there for review. And we asked for an update with a timeline on when that would be done. Mr. Roy did come in before and said that he was working on the notice of intent. So we did ask for that at the last meeting. We did have to cancel that meeting, so he's here tonight to provide an update.
Josh Roy, 110 Brookfield Road. Where we stand right now with the conditions that were spoken about at the original site visit with Mr. Goodwin and with Becky. is I have gotten with Babe's Lawn Care, who is going to execute the project. However, there seems to have been a little miscommunication in regards to what the site plan needs to be. I was under the assumption that we could just draw up a sketch that this is what we're gonna do, as long as it conforms with what what the suggestions were by the member of the board, which I don't have a problem doing. I believe that Mr. Goodwin's recommendations were reasonable. However, I was told from Babes that now we have to have it drawn up by a certified, like Joe Levesque. I can't think of what he's called, but Joe Levesque.
Wetland specialist? Wetland engineer?
I don't know if an engineer.
An engineer.
Engineer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my stance with it is I don't understand why I need to do that when we agreed on what we're gonna do, and it's a very simple fix. It is not a huge project. It is not gonna be a huge disruption. The whole reason the project started in the first place was because I was trying to do the right thing with removing scrap tires that were left on the property from the previous owner, and we disrupted a very small area of the wetlands next to this brook. So like I said, I believe that Mr. Goodwin's recommendations are reasonable. I intend on doing that, but I don't feel as though I should need to hire Joe Levesque to come back and do this sketch. Why can't I just draw a sketch and say, file it with a notice of intent, and let's just be done with it?
Well, within that, we talked about bullards or something that we could mark.
Correct.
And in order to do that, I would think you'd need an engineer to, I don't know that I said you did not need an engineer. I don't think it's an extensive project for an engineer to go in there and mark where they need to be, and then we approve them.
Well, this was information I got back from Babes. I believe he got it from the agent, saying that it had to be done by, like Joe Levesque or whoever to do.
By a certified engineer.
Correct.
Yeah. Well, that does not sound unreasonable. I mean, what, am I gonna go out and mark it, or you? That doesn't
Well, if
work.
I understood correctly, you just want the existing parking area marked to give us a benchmark to ensure that we're not going any further, encroaching any further on the vegetation. Is that correct?
Agreed to. Yeah.
Right, so the property line is clearly marked now every 10 feet when I had the property surveyed, so I don't understand why we can't just mark where the existing parking lot is, where the gradings are end. I don't have it with me, I did not bring it, I didn't think I was gonna need it, but I do have a copy of that survey, yes.
Well, we can take a look at it.
But I think,
But I mean, the grindings are where they are, which is the line, which you don't want me to encroach on, so why can't we just mark that where the grindings are now with these granite posts that we discussed, and that will be sufficient, and we talked about putting, like a riprap stone type of thing up against that to stop the, the runoff going into the vegetation.
Well, because we have to agree to it. That would be how I'd say it. So we need a plan. I don't know how detailed it needs to be, but we need a plan to agree on where the wetland is. The wetland has.
Oh, that's the part that I misunderstood. So that's what you want to know. You want to designate where that wetland is. I thought you wanted just where the parking area is. We have to mark that off, so we're not going any further.
Well, if you did that, you would show me where the wetland is. That would show me where the wetland is. So we're going around in semantics, but the only thing that we differ on is having an engineer do it. I don't expect wetlands to be marked by anybody that walks, down the street. I mean, it has to be by somebody who knows how to do it.
I think too, this is a commercial project, so, there was areas that were gravel that are now millings, and vegetation removal, so that all should be noted on the plan and what has been, where those areas have been
That's one of the
altered.
areas where we disagree, though, because in the pictures, you can clearly see it was always grindings. The reason why the vegetation started growing through it is because they didn't use the property for so long in that area.
Right, so that area was altered, right? Like you kind of excavated that area, took out the vegetation, and then
It
you
was
put
just
down
grass.
millings in that area. Right, but the way the Wetlands Protection Act works in the bylaws, when you're converting that area, you have to go through
But we didn't
project
convert it. It
review.
was existing grinding area, and that's my biggest argument. We did not extend the parking lot at all. It is exactly the same as it was. It is the same material that it's always has been, and you can clearly see it in the pictures when I took
Yeah.
over the property.
Well, we have those pictures of.
yeah,
what
that-
were
And you can see the
before.
grass, but the grindings are porous, and when you don't drive over them for so long, the seeds get caught in the grindings, and that's when you have stuff start growing.
See, but the argument is moot
disagree with
anyway,
that.
because how you took over the property is how you took over the property. That does not designate a wetland or not.
No, I'm not saying that it doesn't. I'm talking about specifically that the grindings have not changed. It is the same as it always has been.
Yeah, the area's been cleaned up, you know. I've been there before, many times. It's changed. Nothing, I mean, nothing dramatic. I mean, I'm not, you know, but we need a Maginot line on it. We need to mark the wetland. The wetland that goes between the two properties, which I don't know if you own both of them or what, but.
Well, the only wetlands I think in question is actually the conservation land that's owned behind
Right.
us. There's no wetlands between me and the property next door. I believe that's all conservation property behind us.
Yeah.
Neighbor's property.
I think it's just town property. I don't think it's conservation
Okay.
property.
Well, town property, okay.
Yeah, I think in that area, in that back corner, it does appear like there's some expansion back there. So when you go from a pervious to impervious area, in, especially as being a commercial entity, you have to go through the project review with the board, and there's conditions and requirements when you do that.
Right, but like I told you guys when we were on site, the grading and everything was done before I purchased the property. That was a condition when I bought the property, that the Kabinskis had to grade the property. So now I'm left with, they did something that they didn't have permission to do, and now I'm trying to do the right thing by cleaning it up. I also removed 200 scrap tires from the property, which I can put back if you'd like me to.
The issue here is ownership.
Yeah.
It's not a question of an action that you took.
Yeah.
It isn't. You know, I work for BASF,
Yeah.
a large chemical company. You know what they do with their property when they finish using it as a plant? They keep it.
Yeah.
Because if they sell it,
Yeah.
then they're liable for what's on the property.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're liable for, all we're asking is to protect the wetlands. We're not challenging you that you did something that, but we need a wetland delineation on that property, particularly in the corner and the areas that we walked. And from me being on that property through the years, there hasn't been any dramatic change, but there has been, you know, they come in, you know, they got a extra load of gravel, they just push it back. They push it back and make the parking lot larger. Who wouldn't do that if you had a construction business? But what we want is, we want a delineation of the property so that we can have an agreement as to where your bucket of whatever comes in or where you park.
Okay, so now we also had a visit, I believe it was on Tuesday, from the agent who was inquiring about some trees that had been cut, and I have read the bylaws, and we did not cut any trees within 10 feet of a public way. We did not cut any trees within 200 feet of the wetlands. They're over 500 feet away. What is the issue here?
There isn't any. There isn't any.
Well, according to the conservation agent, which is
See, that's
why
in,
this
that's
is
in definition that there is no wetland. You said there's no wetland.
it's behind the building. The trees were growing through the building that we cleared out. So there's
haven't
no
been out
wetland
I
there.
haven't seen it, I don't know about it, but if there are no wetlands there, then we don't have jurisdiction.
Then why is the conservation agent coming there on a Tuesday and telling my staff that I need to cease immediately cutting the trees down behind the building? That's my
I
problem.
can't say at this point that it's
And-
not within 200
And
feet.
it's 500 feet from the property line to the opposite property line. It's on the other side of the building.
That
not
wetland
with-
in that stream goes behind the building and up the hill there. Where that exactly is hasn't been delineated. and it could be within the 200 feet. And actually went there with the building inspector because there was work being done on the roof too.
Which is not a concern for the Conservation Commission.
I agree. I said I
Okay.
just went
And
there
we
with
have a
him for
permit
that.
said work. So that's been
No,
taken
he said you
care of.
didn't have a
See,
permit. and that's
but
why
it comes
he
back and
too.
proves the reason we needed delineation.
Okay, so I will hire Joe Levesque to do that.
Yeah.
And then we still agree on what improvements you want to see done to prevent any further,
But I just want
disruption.
a line of demarcation, and then we can just, put down some bollards and call it a day.
Okay,
But that's what we're looking for.
but we're not looking to restore anything in that corner now, we're just letting it be the way it is, correct?
As far as I know, I don't know that.
Well, there was some discussion there that day that we would need to do something there, so
I think the board needs to
Yeah, the board.
look at
but
that
we-
as an application, and that would typically be done prior to the work occurring. So I think it's important that the whole board reviews and weighs in on that.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, so I have not been on the property, and apparently I can't. But the reality is, I can't speak intelligently to any of it, because I haven't seen any of it.
Understood.
Right, so, I need to see something that I can actually action, right? That's all I'm,
Understood.
and now granted, generally, I try to take the recommendation of the chair under advisement. I don't always follow, but, so if he is confident that something is going to remedy the situation, I'll probably follow it, but I haven't had an opportunity to see any of it. So, to give a carte blanche, like, this will do it, I haven't seen it, so I can't speak to it, but if we have a delineation, and I don't know, maybe we're talking semantics. We're not asking for a fully engineered plan that has absolutely we just need to know where the wetland is.
Okay.
Have somebody hang some flags, and then we can go out and take a look at it, and then we can be like, okay, so this is what we're looking at, this is what we're dealing with, and then we can make some decisions.
Right.
That's it, right? We're not talking about, spending tens of thousands of dollars on an engineered plan that's coming out for what?
No, we're not.
We just need somebody who knows what they're doing to look at it, so we can then go ahead and make an appropriate decision to make sure that the wetland is protected.
So
That's
is-
it.
Is Joe Levesque a guy that can do that for you? Would you be happy if Joe went out there and marked the wetlands, or is he
I
not
don't
certified
know
to do
that he's qualified to do that. I
who
don't
is
think he's a
qualified to do that?
PE. I think he's a surveyor. So
So
I think
who-
you're gonna need to
who
maybe,
is qualified?
he can help you find someone.
Okay.
We can't tell you who you have to use. There's a lot of qualified people out there. They'll have to hire a wetland scientist to go out there and look at that. And just to clarify with the trees, I mean, they had issued a cease and desist until this got resolved. It would have been easy enough to pick up the phone and say, hey, we're working over here. Can you help me verify that I'm not within jurisdiction? And we could have resolved that before going out there, because like I
Yeah.
said, it's unclear where that wetland line is that goes in that back area, so it could be within jurisdiction.
Nobody's trying to hassle anyone. We're just trying to figure out where that is so we can move on from all of us, right?
Okay. Fair enough. Is that it?
We asked for like a timeline kind of working on this. Do you want to?
I would think, I don't know that the next meeting gives enough time to get us what we need, so we'll probably look to have something by the first meeting in January. That would make me comfortable. Does that work for you?
Yeah,
File the notice of intent at the same time, or do we file the notice of intent prior?
When, you better figure out if you can get him, when he can come to work for you.
Yeah.
Do it. I mean, it's probably a half-day project.
Okay.
But I can't speak to it. And then you can tell us.
Okay.
And I think too, I think it's important with that notice of intent, or if there's areas that were pervious that are now impervious, they can help guide you with the requirements under the notice of intent when that's filed. So you're just gonna really have to talk to a professional engineer about that.
Okay.
And make sure that, all of that's being covered.
Yep.
That's required under the law, so.
Right?
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry if I misled you in any way with that.
No, like I stated earlier, I believe that your recommendations were reasonable. I just got a little upset when we had some more issues after that, and also with the fact that I had to have it, I was misled where I thought it was an engineered plan. That was third-party information that I got from Babes, that we had to have somebody come out there and actually design the plan of what we were gonna do. So, I didn't feel that was reasonable, but other than that, I believe what you're asking for is a reasonable request.
All right, good. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're at 30 River.
Let's go down to number 24 now, because we do have,
Thank you.
yep, for 446 Main
Oh.
Street.
I'm sorry, yeah.
Thank you very much.
I'm just gonna give a little quick summary so they know what we're talking about here. So this is a property in which the, commission had issued, an order of conditions, I don't even know how many years ago it was, but, before my time, probably 10, 12 years ago, maybe or so. They did a redevelopment on the property. There was a stormwater swale that was to be constructed, which was constructed behind, the building. And then also, some, work to kind of manage beavers on the property and flooding that was occurring. So there's beaver deceivers that went in. There was perpetual conditions for the stormwater maintenance and the, maintenance of those, flow devices and a culvert out there. This had come up not too long ago. There's a property transaction coming up, and it was noted that this order was open on there. So I spoke to the lawyer at the time and said, based off of having been out in that area because of flooding issues, I was unaware of this order out there, that the stormwater swale wasn't there anymore, and that didn't appear that those flow devices were there or functioning, and that in order to work to close the order by issuing a certificate, that they'd have to work to address those things. And after that, we did have some flooding issues out in that area with an abutting property, kind of brought this back up. We sent a letter to them, asking them to, letting them know that they weren't really in compliance with that past order, for the maintenance of those structures and to come up with a solution to address what was going on out there. So we do have them here today, and I'll pass it over to them.
Thank you very much.
Glenn, were you involved back when?
Originally,
Yeah.
that was, the amendment was, no, I wasn't. Amendment was in 2003, a second amendment in '05. Just to say, no, I wasn't involved with the tear down of the original building and the rebuild of this newer building. This,
No, but what, with the beaver deceivers and all that, you were not?
No, we have talked to Beaver Solutions in the last week, who Rebecca mentioned does work in town and out of Southampton, and so we have discussions, if I can talk about that briefly.
Yeah.
Okay, so Andrew Surveying and Engineering did the work originally. We have a copy of their site plan. Thank you to the Conservation Commission and staff for sending that over. We have talked to Byron Andrews, and they are looking to come back on board because they have the CAD file so we can redelineate the wetlands. It has expanded towards the building because of the beaver flooding for a number of years, so now it's cattails right up to where the swale was supposed to be behind the building. And then we looked at where the cart road goes away from Route 20, parallel to the eastern property boundary. That still is upland. I would be going out to flag the wetland boundary and the cart, including the cart road. The surveyors would pick up the wetland flags. We would design stormwater management. It appears, my client's nickname is Jerry. So the Jerry said before he didn't sell the property, it sounds like he leased the property, the business.
Mm-hmm.
So they hadn't, during COVID, maintained a swale that was built there, he says. And we're going to meet again Saturday out there. And we're going to, again, Byron Andrews is ready to come in on this. We're waiting for the proposal to come in. We're working with the attorneys so that we can have delineation, design of a stormwater management maximum extent practicable because it was redevelopment, and a long-term maintenance plan for the beaver. We have, again, the beaver trapper felt that a deceiver over there, and Rebecca had mentioned this before I talked to him, wasn't going to be functional because it is level and he can easily clog it. We're using other beaver trap deceivers that hang over the pond with a minimum volume like this has. And it works because the beaver can't get up, swim up 6 feet, and then leave the mud stuck up against a 5x5x5 cage with a pipe in it. So I made a recommendation to the Beaver Solutions that, and I did mention it to Ms. Rebecca, that we potentially could dig a hole. This is more work than possibly we're going to get into. But then you dig a 20-foot diameter hole, it's 5 feet deep, the trap, the deceiver hangs over the hole, there's stanchions to the bottom, like we have over in Oxford, and the beaver never can clog it. But that involves alteration of wetlands. Otherwise, it would be a long-term maintenance agreement with the beaver trapper, and he recommended Malcolm Spiker. He says, I don't come out of Southampton to trap. He says, I put the deceivers in. This is Southampton Beaver Solutions. So he says, if you're in that area, and I said, well, I mentioned Malcolm, and he goes, well, I'd recommend him, and he's coming in the spring, he would trap, he would maintain that the flow, remove any clogs with a permit, emergency permit, whether it's a Board of Health permit, most likely, because if it's flooding a facility, there was some question about flooding a parking lot, maybe it was the daycare.
Yep.
We would look at that again Saturday, because it appears that the daycare is down gradient of us. So the water flows from our property through the old cart path, down into another swale, and then eventually behind the daycare.
Yeah.
We're going to look at all of that.
It was coming out between the two properties on the pavement there. The water was
On the
coming out.
and then from him onto them? And you're saying, yes, okay. So it's a matter of cleaning up the old debris out there, having a maintenance agreement with a beaver trapper that they'd come in generally spring when they move, but they can also come in the fall. So there'd have to be a maintenance to an agreement perpetuity condition. Installing stormwater management that functions under redevelopment, a delineation initially. So delineation, site plan, design, beaver.
Yeah, and if there's some way, maybe you can find a creative way to put that in, but a condition that allows them to do some type of breaching with parameters yearly as maintenance, because when they come in, they'll build it up, you'll have to breach it too. I think that's important. But Glenn, I can get you, the daycare used someone, a trapper, and he's been kind of working for them a little
Great.
bit, so
Great.
I can find out that name and get that to you. I think he'd probably be helpful since he's seen the area, so.
For the chairman to work together, that would be better than if the trapper's already there.
You haven't taken a look, you haven't been out back?
I have
there?
been out there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
As soon as I got the call within a day, after I received the plan, I went out. But we're going to go back out with the owner. The owner wasn't there at the time. I just drove out to see what was going on. I happened to be in the area.
Yeah.
Sure. You got to be careful today driving now. I don't want to be a pervert sounding. Are you hearing this? Because when you pull in, all those kids are playing over there. Jesus. And if you're during the day, what's a guy over there walking down here and you got all the kids playing? Again, I'm just making a mention. You got to be careful these days when you got a lot of kids running around.
Much new NYPD blue or something.
I know,
I can let them know when I contact them that you guys are working on it.
that'd be
They'd happy
great,
to hear
because
that, yeah.
we otherwise we'd go over and we'd start talking to one of the ladies, and then they'd wonder what's going on.
Yeah.
What?
So,
I
right,
worry about those things.
so filing a new notice of intent to cover all that, so there's a new order of conditions, and when that happens, close out the old
old-
one.
Yeah.
I think that would make sense.
We're going to move rapidly through this as long as the surveyors can get out there, and we've already got a retainer to do my end of the deal. Andrews did ask me if they would do the notice. I normally will work with the engineers to create the plan, and then I'd file. And that's it.
Personally, I'd like to see the annual contract. as
Yeah,
a
yes, the maintenance agreement, the annual maintenance agreement on the Beaver, sure.
Yeah. They had
that's
a
gonna-
maintenance agreement, it worked.
That's going to be part of the exhibit. That would be an exhibit in the notice,
Yeah.
so that it's all together.
Okay,
Okay.
good. Yeah. All
I
right,
think
great.
maybe beginning of January or
Coming in.
January
Yeah.
meeting. I mean, there's no imminent issue out there right now, because they did clear that up, I think,
I
so.
think that, if I could, through the chair, I think the Beaver's out right now because there was no recent activity, and the old pipe that went under the cart road has been removed. I know it shows up on the old plan, and no recent chew. So they must have taken care
They
of the
were
Beaver.
trapped, yeah, they trapped them recently, so you should be
Okay.
good till spring.
Should be good
Yeah.
till spring, okay.
Yeah, all right. Thank you for
All
coming.
right, thank you for
Jerry,
coming in.
you all set there, Jerry?
Yeah,
You
I'm
all
all
set?
set. You take care of me, everything.
Okay.
Because I hope done and I'm retired next year, so that's why.
for
He wants
you.
to sell and move.
I saw the business 2011, so that's why something,
Yeah.
so I come here, take care.
We'll take care of this least painful way, right through.
Thank you anyway, everybody.
Yes, thanks for coming
Thank you,
in.
yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay.
So we take care. Glenn's nice,
Yeah, don't tell them
Very
that.
nice,
Why you're saying the wrong
Know how nice Glenn is.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, have a nice evening.
Happy Thanksgiving Day first.
Yeah.
Yes, you too, thank you.
You as well.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah.
All right, thanks, Glenn. I think you're done for the evening with us.
Thank you very, yes, thank you so much. Have a good evening. Appreciate it. And good Thanksgiving also.
Yeah.
Oh, you too, thanks.
What's next? River Road?
22.
All right, so we talked to town council to add this on as amended because this just came in this week. So DEP did issue the superseding order of conditions for the 30 River Road. And then I was gonna have it on as an update because we didn't have a meeting last time. So we did have that court date after our last meeting. And at that time, what we had discussed is that they, I forget the term and I should have brought it with me, but pretty much their lawsuit against us was annulled. Because when they file for an appeal with DEP and we don't have any extra conditions solely under our bylaw, everything gets reviewed by DEP, and DEP issues are superseding, that's
The end.
that's the end pretty much. Commission or anyone has the ability to appeal that and go through a process. But there was really no need for them to bring us to court in a sense because they were appealing it to DEP. So that was pretty much annulled, and that's kind of what was said on there, that we agreed that the, DEP kind of superseded it in this sense, and we still had the right to appeal a superseding if the commission felt necessary, and our lawsuit against them is still active. Yep, that's still pending, and when we are at court, he put it in for a status update on December 8th. So we will be going back for a status update at that time.
Oh, no, tell them the 5th. Everything on the 10th.
But right, so DEP came out with this superseding on Tuesday. I did forward it over. I know it was kind of last minute, but I wanted to just bring it up tonight because if the commission had any concerns and wanted to appeal, then we'd have to take action within that appeal timeframe. Which is now. So I kind of quickly, I went through it. Here's my notes. So DEP did include, the biggest concern that we had at the time was that there wasn't an agreement on what was required to restore the stream on site, based off of the information that we had been provided at that time. And in our enforcement order, we had required that there be an independent person do that. So DEP did put in a couple conditions in there about that. One, they did require that the work be completed no later than April 15th of next year. To ensure that work gets done. I think we had some time conditions on that as well in our order. Qualified wetland scientists with at least 5 years' experience in wetland restoration shall monitor and supervise all aspects of work proposed within wetland resource areas and shall monitor the area for 2 full growing seasons following completion. They also said prior to the start of restoration activities, the area of work covered under the superseding order shall be reviewed by a professional wetland scientist. They shall assess the conditions of impacted wetland resource areas at 30 River Road pre and post cleanup remediation and provide recommendations for any revisions to restoration activities to Mass DEP. DEP will review the recommendations and provide instruction to the permit holder, which shall be incorporated into the restoration activities. All work shall follow the approved protocol. Similar, we were kind of looking for the same things except for an independent person. DEP will be overseeing this. I think that, that's a good outcome.
That's good.
Yeah. So I wouldn't see any need to take any appeal action, but just wanted to bring that to you and allow you to discuss.
If anybody wants to.
No, I mean, we have our fight ongoing, so.
Correct. Yep. And
that will at least take care of
the offsite.
Yeah, right.
Mhm.
So it's something. It's not half a loaf. It's maybe 10% of the loaf, but.
Oh, no, it's more than 10%.
Okay. 30% of the loaf?
It's a couple of slices with some tuna salad in it.
I know. So yeah, that's all I have for that.
What else?
What else?
Then she has 23.
Yeah, I still have why do I have the old numbers? Oh, I
okay.
printed it before you amended, yeah. So yeah, Opeka Land Trust had sent a letter. It was in the packet for the last meeting. Just that, Trails had presented what they have done and what they're planning to do on some of the properties, they had some concerns and wanted to have a meeting. We did have a meeting a couple weeks ago. Ed came to the meeting. We had representatives from the Trail Committee, Opakam Land Trust, the town administrator was there. We went through, there was no outcome on some of the proposals, but we did go through some things. Opakam had some concerns. One of the things they're looking for was more open communication, a better process, so that way when things are proposed, it makes sure it gets to them before it's implemented. There's a few properties where they have concerns that things were done prior to going to Opakam, so we did talk about and discuss a plan for that. And then we kind of went property by property. We did run out of time in the meeting, but they did have, some concerns. Riverlands, they had some concerns. That's not your property. And then we talked a little bit about Plimpton.
Plimpton.
We really agree we need some type
Long
of management
Pond.
plan out there. Long Pond, they had some trails proposed out there. Yeah, that's kind of the update. I don't know if there's anything you want to add to that.
Yeah, no, pretty much.
I'm freezing over here. Usually I'm not, like roasting.
I feel like I'm used to being by the window, so it
Mm.
feels pretty good.
The other thing we had on here is just kind of quickly wanted to go over, because this is the last meeting before we have a lot of things are due as far as thinking about the next fiscal year. We just kind of got all our money from last fiscal year and working on things, but now we have to start thinking about budget, any betterment requests, any capital requests, any community preservation committee requests that we might have. So at this time, I don't see any needs for capital fund requests or betterment fund requests. Last year, we did a betterment fund request for the dog waste stations. Just so you know, those are partially out there. We had worked out an agreement with the past DPW director about some kind of assistance with, the disposal. There were some concerns about that, so they didn't want to put the trash containers out there. We agreed to have one trash container put out there at Lead Mine for now, because that's the property that we have the biggest concern with dog feces on. So we are monitoring that.
Conservation staff is taking care of the.
Yeah, yep. So
Which one is that?
the main,
Shattuck Road by.
Oh, yeah, the one, that,
main
yeah,
one.
people are disgusting out
yeah.
there.
So so it's been out there for a couple weeks. After 1 week, I went out there and there was some use in it, not a lot, which was great. I went out there on Tuesday before I came into work, and there was a lot of dog poop bags in there, which is great. People are using it, and it's not even the bags that we have there. So it's people that were bringing their own bag that may have been taking it with them or leaving it along the trail. I didn't have time to walk the trail to see, if there's any bags left there, but I think it's successful. So we've been kind of talking to DPW, and maybe there's a way in the future. They have some staffing concerns. If there's some way that there's other things that we need on the properties. Some things that are currently done by trails, but things that, physical things, maintenance of the, stormwater structure at Riverlands, or, mowing fields. In the fall, we have to mow all our fields. There's some things that we need assistance with. So we kind of gave them a list, hoping that if they add resources to their staff, that maybe that we can come up with a plan and have that be included with that. So that's kind of where that stands. I went off a little bit there. So no betterment, no capital. Community Preservation Committee. I've been talking to the town administrator about our Fisk Hill property, which does not have a CR on it. It was bought with CPC funds, and I went back and did verify that because you had a question about that. It does require that a CR is put on it. So when the property was purchased, there should have been additional funds included with that. When we have to get a CR holder, we usually give them an amount of money to do the monitoring. In addition, we had all those issues with the Long Pond. We need to verify that there's an older surveyed plan of that property. We just need that verified, so we make sure we don't have any issues using someone else's older plan about where the property lines are. And we need to demarcate the property boundaries and have a baseline done out there. So I do need to get funds from CPC for that, because she does want me to work on that next year, so I will be going for a proposal on that. It's not a property that's going to be in your care and custody, because it was just bought for recreation, so it could be active or passive. So I will be working on that. The other thing that I was looking at, and we had talked about it, is the Plimpton property. We really need some type of management plan out there. as things currently stand, I don't see how we will be able to do that next year. I just, with what we have for workload and the permitting and things that we're not even, following up on those things, and it's important, our permits.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
It's good to talk about it,
Yeah,
because it's just.
because, right, there's, those things are only as good as the work being done,
An OOC is only as good as the follow-up that we can put into it.
Yep. I was on a,
Gotta be a way to automate this stuff.
training thing with MACC about CR baselines and stuff, and they said that a CR is only as good as the enforcement behind it. Like, and first thing I thought of was our permits, like, it's a concern, even staying up with when people are doing these, so we don't have those problems in the future. But, all right, so I just don't know how we can work on that, and the thing is, it's really hard for that property, I was saying to Ed, to think of a dollar amount of what's needed, because we might have forestry needs out there. I'll have to work with a forester, wildlife biologist, maybe. We have to do like some mapping out there of things. Like it's something that I could oversee and figure out, but it's a matter of time to be able to oversee it unless we, I've kind of reached out to a few people like Fish and Wildlife, Oxbow Associates. You guys do this. Don't really find someone that's going to broadly kind of cover that easily. So I'm going to work towards something. I don't know if we'll have something for next year, but it is something that we need to work on for that one. Just so you're aware, the Long Pond, I might also have to ask for CPC funds on that. We've talked about this before. We asked for an engineer to review the whole property lines for us, and then maybe set pins in the area. It's the northern property line, which is the issue with the abutter right now that we're trying to work out. The cost to do that whole property with the engineering was about $25,000. So we don't have funds at this time to do that. So we looked at a redacted version of that. We're moving forward with just having them do that northern line. There might be a way to use ARPA funds to do the rest of the property. If not, then I'll have a backup to go to CPC for that. It was a problem.
Yeah, well, we need to do just that challenged portion.
Yeah, but the town thinks
The Mass Pike isn't moving.
well, we got all those property lines to the south.
Yeah.
I just want to verify.
The lake isn't, the
No, I
pond
know.
isn't moving. State land is, Army Corps is not moving. Whatever they say is theirs is theirs. Right? Yeah.
I know, that area is very convoluted because it was all like, there was multiple historic farms, like the deeds out there are all old handwritten from this person to this person.
Yeah.
And then the Mass Pike came in and they took land, and then the Army Corps came in and took land and did easements, so it's
Yeah.
a little more involved. Another property might not be as much, but it's something that I just want to make you aware that we'll probably need to be asking for that as a backup. Also, just overall for the budget, just wanted to make you aware that most of our things are pretty standard. We don't have a huge budget in our office. We don't purchase a lot of things. We do like the lakes testing and other things. I do want to increase the training budget because the training budget is also for board members, and we will be having new members. So, and Roy, we probably haven't talked about this too much, but I gave you that MACC handbook. They do offer a lot of classes, to go through and get a certificate, and then also workshops, and then they have 2 conferences each year. So I'd like to set it so at least commissioners can at least go to one of the conferences and take a couple of their workshops. A lot of it's online now.
Are they back up and rolling now, the conferences?
Their fall one was on the Cape, somewhere on the Cape, and that was in person. I did hear someone said that Holy Cross is still not doing things in person, so I don't know what the intention for their spring is. I don't know. But with that, we will need to increase that. I wouldn't see that as an issue, especially because
Did we take that out? Did we take that out of our budgets?
No, we always left it, but all through COVID, we didn't expend anything mostly.
Oh, we didn't spend it, yeah, no.
So, and I've been taking some more classes. Erin's taken some MAC things just to help
Good.
her. So
Yeah.
with her job here, the big thing is that I do want to ask, and I am going to ask, I think it really would be helpful if we had another staff person. Right now, there's me, who does all the department head responsibilities, and I'm responsible for all the field work for permitting and all of that, and Erin's an admin, and part-time. I think it'd be useful to have someone who's more of like an assistant position, who can help with the permitting, help with the conservation lands, following up on permits, et cetera.
We can be more proactive instead of reactive.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly.
Don't disagree with that.
You know, we've been seeing a lot of conservation departments hiring. Some people are just asking for like land use people. Some are asking for assistants who can do that and the permitting, which is, I think, the most useful thing for us here. I think it would go a long way to help us keep projects in compliance and then make sure we're managing our resources on those properties, and doing other things. So we will be putting that forward. It will go to the town administrator and a budget team. Obviously, you know, they've got to look at what's best for the town and move a budget forward. As a backup to that plan, I would, if that's not feasible, I would like to move forward and ask to have Erin's position changed to like an assistant position. There's really a lot she does that's outside of what her job responsibility is as an admin assistant, that I wouldn't be able to function without having someone do those things. So I would ask that maybe that's looked at as an alternative if the other one's not possible. So I just wanted to make you aware, so you're aware of what we're putting forward in the department. And that may require us using maybe a little bit more of the wetland funds. Those are designated. So we have wetland funds that come from the DEP fee that we get for reviewing projects, and it goes into an account for administration and enforcement. Those are the two things we can use it for. We currently use some of that. Oh, we did a vote before when you were on. We use some of that.
So why wouldn't we bring Aaron on full-time? Why wouldn't that be a,
Well, that wouldn't be an option until at least the fiscal year change, and still would need approval.
yeah, because otherwise, I mean, if you're going out for something, you know, a new rec, a promotion versus a new rec,
Well, I
We
mean,
can't-
35 hours is full-time, and I work 32, so it's really pretty close.
yeah, I'm just,
Yeah.
rather, I don't know what the rules are, but,
I don't know that I could, are you saying do that right now?
well, once you get the budget,
Yeah.
why couldn't you just promote Aaron as opposed to opening up a new rec that you would have to post and let other people apply for it?
I would still probably have to do that if it was a promotion. You still have to, because it's set as, this is this position that's approved, and if you create something new, it has to go to personnel committee. There's the whole town process involved with that, so.
HR is bad, town HR.
Oh, my God. Okay.
Yeah, so, you know,
That's a good question, though. It's a good, it's a good avenue.
yeah, no, I agree.
Outside the box.
I just want to like say though, I think like what Erin does is more than what an admin kind of clerk responsibility is. And, you know, getting this detailed agenda to you wouldn't be possible if she didn't do all the assistance that goes with that, you know, so.
All right.
That's why I'm thinking it would make, whatever we can do to make sure that Aaron gets full-time and gets that right position.
Yeah, oh, I
We
agree.
don't break anyone in.
Yeah, we see, you know, a lot of towns that are smaller in size, have less conservation land, don't have a bylaw, or don't have the bylaw we have, that have more staff than we do, you know, and I actually.
Sold.
Yeah,
Yeah, very
I don't
definitely.
think you need to sell the 3 people that are in this and the 4 people that are gonna watch
I've
this
been
on
taking a
TV.
lot of the classes, and like, I'm shocked at the other towns, like what they don't have that we have.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, we
It's
get a
like-
lot done, the group here.
but right, that you can do a lot, but you can't do a lot well, or whatever that saying is, you know what I mean? It you know, you get to that point where you can't keep up with, hey, you know, we asked this guy to give us information by this day, where is that? Because there's just a lot going on, you know, and every day something new. Slope fails, sediment and resource area, things you
Yep.
gotta jump to, but
Something's going into the lake.
I just wanna say,
20-year-old COC,
right,
25-year-old COC,
Yeah,
30-year-old COC.
All right. All set?
That was the agent report too?
I don't know what I had for agent report.
We're all
I think you
set.
had everything.
I think we're good.
We're swamped mentally.
One question, we talked about a quorum, and I saw the correspondence from the lawyer.
Al, yeah.
So if two of us are getting coffee at Sawdust. Is that a quorum? Are we in violation?
Yeah. Probably.
Oh, man, I
Can't be-
didn't
you
ask that
can't be-
question in my brain.
Well, no, but,
No,
so
that-
we go on site visits, you technically have quorum, you can't discuss.
You can't discuss.
Yeah, you can't discuss. You can be friends with someone and have a
You're not
coffee, I
supposed
think.
to, yeah, anyway.
But you can't be discussing.
Right,
That's it. Don't worry about the rest.
okay.
If we run into each other at a Christmas party, that's not gonna be a big deal.
Yeah. It's an excellent question, though.
I make
I didn't even
motion,
think of
I'm
that.
not gonna second this one. I'm gonna make that motion to adjourn.
I will second that.
9:23.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, aye.
Aye.
Hey, that's not bad. Given that agenda,
I know.
and we were scheduled till 8:05.
You guys are good.